Tick-tock, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood. And with me now I've got Armin Navabi from Atheist Republic. He's seriously the go-to guy as far, this is who I ask about questions dealing with Iran, because every time I talk to him, he gives me some new information. I've been involved dealing with Islam for years. I find out I still know very little about Iran. I find that other people know even less about Iran, because at least some of this was in my lifetime. Some of this was in my lifetime when I was very young. But so anyway, there's something that came up just a little back, about Reza. How do you pronounce that name? Pahlavi?
Reza Pahlavi.
Pahlavi.
Prince Reza Pahlavi.
Yeah, and so I've seen him around over the years and so on. But I was like, I see lots of Iranians who like the guy, but I'd like to get Armin's view, because well, I don't know. I trust you. I trust you on all things having to do with Iran. So we'll get to all that. In a minute. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone, and then we'll take a look.
Well, I'm Armin Navabi, ex-Muslim atheist, founder of Atheist Republic. As I was mentioning, we were talking about basically, but David, I was talking about Facebook ban and stuff like that. But we used to, an Atheist Republic used to have 2.5 million followers on Facebook before Facebook banned our page. So we used to be the largest community of atheists online. Now we're just active on YouTube mostly. Our Instagram is pretty big as well, but now we're just mostly active on YouTube. But we're not as big on YouTube. We're trying, so go to get back our glory that we have lost from the Facebook page, man. So go check out our YouTube channel, Atheist Republic. It's mostly focusing. I used to say we focus on content against wokeism and Islam mostly, but wokeism seems to be dead now. So we're just mostly focusing on Islam. It's not completely dead, but it's like a lot weaker. It's not Islam. We're focusing a lot more on Islam right now on the Atheist Republic, especially with a Middle Eastern focus. I know there's a lot of channel that focuses on Islam in Europe and in North America, but because I'm Iranian and I'm very much every day I'm following Iranian social media and the content that is coming out of there, I try to show something on our channel. Me and Susanna do the news every week. That is sometimes focused on North America as well a little bit, and on Europe as well. But when I'm doing my own streams, a lot of times I'm focusing on stuff that is happening in the Middle East, and usually it's type of content that you might not see in other places. Basically, what people in the region are seeing themselves on social media. So it's a unique take. So go check it out. Sorry, that was a long intro.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You can take as long as you want. It's your time, sir. Your time. But you were mentioning that you guys were mainly you had your biggest following on Facebook, and then had problems with Facebook and so on. But you and I were talking right before we started about how looks like things might be changing over at Facebook, and they might be a little less inclined to ban, because that's why I got off. I wasn't kicked off, but they kept like giving me temporary bans of like a week here and there, and it was always 100% of the time complete nonsense. Like a keyboard jihadi would threaten to murder me, and I would say, "Hey, look at what this guy said," and then they would ban me for attacking a Muslim when I'm just saying, "Look at what this guy said." It's like, what is this? And so it was just, I don't want to be on here. I don't want to be on this platform where you will ban a guy who says this guy threatened me, and not guys who actually threaten people and so on. So anyway, I was just like, I deleted my own channel. But if they're, we can be forgiving if people recognize, hey, we were going too far with this, and we want to fix this. Then, I might jump back on Facebook. So would you probably, now that it looks like things might be changing, will you guys like try to get back your channel, or just start a new one or something?
No, I'm not gonna go start. We're already working too hard on YouTube now to start something from new on Facebook. I want our page back on Facebook. If they're not going to give our page back, if they maybe they're not going to ban anybody anymore, but are they going to bring back the old accounts that they banned? Because we got banned for the dumbest reasons. Like, we had memes about Islam, and they would say that, oh, this is promoting hate. Like, huh? So it was so weird. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get our page back, but if we don't get it back, I'm not going to go back to Facebook. No, focusing on YouTube. Yeah.
All right, and just a comment here, just because this is fresh in everyone's mind, but Drybone says, is Central Dawa in jail yet after giving AP a death threat? Yeah, guys, I can't comment on this. I did not see this debate. I was asleep, and I woke up a little after 3, and I was like, oh, let me see how the debate went, because I didn't even know what time it was. I didn't know if it was 11 or 12 or whatever. Let me see. I just knew it was early, and so I was like, okay, let me check out and see how this debate went. And I go over and click on it, and it's just AP on the screen, but he's like divided up on all 3 of the screens and stuff. I'm like, is this? It's like that, and I didn't click on the audio. I was just like, oh, the debate's over. But did James accidentally leave AP on his channel live, and then AP's just talking? I don't know, but anyway, I clicked off it, and then a little after that, AP messages me, and he's like, ha ha, Central Dawa lost his mind and quit after threatening to kill me. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's fun stuff.
Do they never learn how badly that backfires and just works in the favor of the other side? Like, you have to be so strategically dumb. Like, this is
tactically stupid.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
it is.
AP is just going to have. He's just going to play that. He's just going to use that forever now.
He is indeed going to use that clip forever. He's going to have that for fun forever, and it helps because now when we say, see, Armin, you're a pretty young guy. You're a pretty young guy. I don't know if you remember, like 2006, 2007, if you said there's a death penalty in Islam for apostasy back then. Everyone called you a liar. Everyone. They say, you're a liar. You're a liar. There is no such thing in Islam. And it's the same thing with like Muhammad and Aisha back then. If you said that, liar, there's nothing like that in Islam. And then now it's almost like they shout it from the rooftops. And so it's actually really cool times in that things that they used to say we were lying about, they actually admit now. And yeah, so Central Dawa just makes it easier to prove, because there are still people who are completely ignorant. And it just makes it easier to say, hey, they want to kill apostates. They actually want to. They brag about it. No, they don't. Stop that liar. No, that's a myth. And you say, okay, well, here's a clip from Ali Dawa. Here's a clip from Central Dawa. Here's a clip from Shirk Central. Here's a clip from everyone. They all do yep. So anyway, these are actually good times.
I don't know if you've been following the civil war within the Sunni community online. Ever since the fall of Assad, the discussion has been whether the blood of Shias are halal. I don't know if you've seen that drama. That has been crazy. The Sunnis turning on Sunnis with regarding to their alliance with Shias, or whether or not they could takfir Shias, or Shias are considered Muslim or not Muslim. It's been insane. Like after October 7th, they all were united. Shia, Sunni, everyone was united with their anti-Jewish hatred. But with the fall of Assad, that entire unity is now fractured, and everybody's turning on each other. Everybody's takfiring everybody.
It is, and everyone's been going off on everyone else. I mean, you got Jake, and you got Jake the Muslim metaphysician, and Daniel Kikich, who used to be debate partners. They used to be debate partners, and now they're like
sworn enemies.
Yeah, I think they're like calling each other apostates and stuff now. So I don't know. This is wild stuff going on. But yeah, the Dawa wars. They don't
directly call that, but they hint at it. So because takfiring is a very serious allegation in Islam, takfiring somebody. So because you could be accused of being Khawarij. But again, that's a lot of other mumbo jumbo. But I've been enjoying following that. That's very fun.
Oh yeah, it is. And so at the end of 2024, I had a live stream. I had people on, and I asked them, has anyone seen a worse year for Dawa than 2024? No one could think of any worse year for Dawa. And then I asked for predictions on what 2025 is going to be like. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to get better? Or is it going to get worse? Everyone said it's going to get worse. And look how it starts off. It starts off with, "Hey, let's spend the entire month of January talking about the grooming gangs on X," and Elon Musk talking about it. Of course, he started off the year with the attack in New Orleans, and here we got our first debate with Central Dawa, and he threatens to kill AP or says that his blood is halal or something like this. Anyway. Looks like they're in full panic mode, and it's pretty fun to watch. Let's go ahead and take these first couple of super chats real quick, and then we will jump into. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and show since it's a short clip. I'll show you why basically contact you and ask you to talk about this. But it's a short clip of the exiled crown prince of Iran. And then right before that or right after that, I saw his letter calling for the Cyrus Accords. And so I'll just introduce that, and then you can take it off and get everyone up to date on Iran. So Nicholas here says, is philosophy based on unfalsifiable claims? Other minds exist, etc. Unfalsifiable equals not true, right? No, this would... No, unfalsifiable does not mean not true, because there are certain claims that you could never prove me wrong on. Like if I say I exist, you could have a million PhD scientists and philosophers to tell me I don't exist. That will never convince me. You could not falsify that claim for me. That doesn't mean that it's not true. So but generally, if you're making claims and you add all sorts of qualifications to them to the point where you make it impossible to refute them or something like that. You're doing something messed up in the realm of philosophy. But we could talk about that. We could talk about that sort of thing in a different time. We're going to talk about Iran now. Boomer says, I found an inspiring hadith, Sahih Bukhari 55:17. I looked it up real quick. It says,
oh, something sexual.
Nope, it's not. It's actually, it just says, narrated Abu Musa al-Ashari, I saw the Prophet eating chicken. That's the entire hadith.
Oh, wow.
I saw the Prophet eating
That's
chicken.
That's the entire hadith?
Yep. Powerful,
this
powerful.
is the one hadith that I could get behind.
Yeah, we finally found a good hadith. Take a Theology says, AP should shave more often, much more handsome. Yes, we've got more handsome AP because he doesn't have that big, filthy beard.
Oh, Mortal Wombat. I know.
Mortal Wombat says, good morning. Great seeing the two of you going live together. Much love from Germany. Thank you. And let's see, I guess both non-hijab fans, what do you know what that stands for? What do you think? I think that's what do you think? What do you think about Christian veiling? Well, if you were saying they have to veil or something like that, that would be up for discussion. In general, I'm fine with people deciding how they want to, whatever they want to wear. Even if Muslim women want to wear a hijab, I'm not going to tell them what to wear and so on. Anyway, I'm against like governments jumping in there and telling people what they have to wear and so on. Then we got
also forcing by family, and even without government, family forcing. Community forcing as well, not just government forcing.
Yep. And so we've got Armin here. And matter of fact, sorry. Let me go ahead and play this little clip because I think this is the first time I've actually watched a clip from Reza here. Let me go ahead and play this little clip.
By the way, that hadith, that chicken hadith might be made by somebody who was selling chicken during the Abbasid dynasty.
Hey, that would be smart. Hey, that would be like today. They're like, hey, I saw Muhammad eating McDonald's, so come on down to McDonald's and get yourself a delicious Momo burger. That would be brilliant, man. That'd be brilliant. Hey, you know what's funny? That hadith should be posted outside of like every chicken shop, every like Pakistani chicken shop. That hadith should be up on the wall. That'd be funny. If it works for camel urine, it should work for chicken. Let's go ahead and check out this clip.
A sense of civilizational and cultural and national identity that transcends everything. I mean, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a Baha'i or a Jew, or if you are a Kurd or a Nazari or a Baluch, that sense of national identity finds itself back in the narrative of a proud nation with a proud history and with something and how much it contributed to Western civilization. Thomas Jefferson incorporated into the Constitution of America or the Declaration of Independence, inspired very much by what Cyrus the Great had said.
Amazing, yeah.
So if you look at that and the perspective of where we stand as a nation in the context of these very ideals and values, as opposed to a regime that has been warmongering, has been planting the seed of hatred and disdain, and it's night and day. And it's really, even if you go back in time in terms of the Zoroastrian values of Ahura Mazda versus Ahriman, Ahura Mazda being the god of light and truth and justice and what have you, and the darkness and the evil and everything. It's evil versus light. That's literally how we look at this regime as it impacts us Iranians at home.
So for since I'm not quite familiar with exiled Crown Prince Reza here, I'm assuming other people are also most people. I know there are people, especially Iranians and so on, who follow who've been following all this very closely. But there are people who are younger than I am. All they've ever experienced is like an evil terrorist Iran, and it's kind of there. A lot of people aren't familiar with. It wasn't that long ago that it wasn't evil terrorist Iran. But let me go and let him finish here, and then.
But how much destruction it has created in terms of it's basically seeing the light in peace, in harmony, in coexistence, in good relation, in tolerance, as opposed to the contrast. And part of my message to the world is us Iranians want to have cordial relationship with the world. And why not start with the most obvious, which is where Israel stands in terms of being threatened by a regime that calls for its disappearance. Right. Whereas me knowing that, among other things, the best experts in managing water issues happen to be Israeli experts. And what kind of a relationship with this country would be mutually beneficial and to my country, instead of this narrative of hatred and anti-Semitism, whatever it is that is out there, and that's part of the whole picture.
All right, so I saw that clip the other day, and then I saw, again, either right before that or right after that, I saw his letter to President Trump about the Cyrus Accords, which he thought of as a sort of companion to the Abraham Accords, or an expansion of it to where now Iran would be included. Anyway, I wanted to read the letter that he wrote, but we can do that. We can do that now, or we can do it later if you wanted to provide groundwork for everyone. But so either one, whatever you prefer. But first of all, so this guy, good guy or bad guy?
Oh, definitely good guy.
Good guy.
Definitely good guy. Yeah, good guy, and probably the only hope we have for a genuine opposition against the Islamic Republic in Iran. If there's going to be any unity, any form of coalition of Iranians against the current regime, it could only be done around this man and this name. Any other, not that everybody agrees with him. I could show you that he's the most popular. Everything I'm going to say today, I'm going to have evidence for it. I'm not just going to make stuff up. Okay, I have scientifically collected data by a Dutch university to show you guys to make sure that I'm not making stuff up. But any other political force that exists in Iran, it's either the regime or it's something worse. So if you look at all the political powers right now that are Iranian, one of them is the hardliners. The other one, which is the reformists, are actually worse because they provide some false sense of, liberalism to the outside world, which makes it much more difficult to deal with them. So it's either the reformists or the hardliners, and the other political forces are the MEK, which is anti-regime, but they're actually worse than the regime. It's basically a leftist Islamist cult, which used to be a militant group. Now it's not, but it's a terrorist group. It's a cult. The other groups are Marxists or separatists, but the only one political force that is Iranian that exists that you could rely on as a liberal, pro-Western, pro-Israeli, pro-secularism political force that exists are the supporters of Reza Pahlavi. To be fair, there are other Iranians who agree with these values, who might not be the supporter of Reza Pahlavi. However, they don't have any political movement. The only political movement that exists that is liberal, that is pro-Israel, that is pro-America, that it has the highest amount of liberal and secular support in Iran is the Reza Pahlavi movement. And again, many of these people are monarchists, but there are not all monarchists. And I could show you that Reza Pahlavi has both monarchist and Republican support. When I say Republican, I know a lot of Americans are watching. I'm not talking Republican versus Democrat in U.S.
You're saying they support they support a republic.
They want a republic without a king, and many Iranians want a constitution. Many Iranians don't want absolute monarchy. The monarchists in Iran, they want a constitutional monarchy, like with a parliament and elections and a prime minister, just like you have in many European countries, like in Sweden, in Denmark, or in the UK or in Canada. So that's what they want. So we have the Republicans and the monarchist Iranians. But Reza Pahlavi enjoys support among both of these people, both of these groups of people. A lot of people think that Reza Pahlavi only represents the monarchists. That's not true. It's true that most monarchists support Reza Pahlavi, but non-monarchists, like myself, I'm not a monarchist. I would be considered a Republican within Iranian politics. I also support Reza Pahlavi. I do want to provide some context to who this man is and why. I see some Israelis in the chat. I also want to show how much Reza Pahlavi supports Israel, and how telling that is for the most popular politician, the most popular leader in Iranian politics is somebody who supports Israel. And what does that say about Iranians, by the way? I mean, I already showed on many of my live streams how many Iranians support Israel, how many Iranians wave the flag of Israel next to the flag of Iran, the true flag of Iran, which is the sun. I'll show everything. It's better for me to show while I'll explain. I want to know if people in the live chat, can you tell me how, I know Iranians already know Reza Pahlavi, but I want people to comment if they knew who this person is, because it's very important for the outside world to recognize Reza Pahlavi as the best representative of Iranians and what they want. Like, if you want somebody to listen to, somebody to champion as a representation of Iranians and what they're fighting for, you don't get anyone better than Reza Pahlavi. So I hope people in the live chat, let me know if you know who this man is, or are you just now being introduced to him? So let us know.
I'll go ahead and put that in a Pahlavi. I'll go ahead and ask in a little poll reel here. Did you know who Reza Pahlavi is? And go ahead and start that poll, and that'll give you a little idea. Okay, so the main reason I was asking that is because there are these situations, especially in the Middle East, where you say, "Oh, there's a bad guy. There's someone who's going against him," but it's like, it's all bad guys, right? I'm not saying the entire population and so on. I'm saying there are situations where there's a power struggle, and it's like this terrorist group versus this terrorist group versus this terrorist group, and they're all fighting for power. And you're like, okay, so I'm picking the least bad terrorist group here. But you're saying that in Iran, at least, there is a good option. There's a good option for the future. And you were talking about as far as Israel's concerned, because the last time. You and I were live together. You were explaining the situation. You were explaining the situation over there, And we back then we were talking about the poll, which showed that like only 40% of Iranians now consider themselves Muslims of any kind. And then since then, especially, we've seen all these situations where like the government puts flags of the U.S. and Israel on the ground to get people to walk all over. And you'll see like thousands of people walking around them and refusing to step on it and so on. So it's this interesting situation where when, especially back during the Arab Spring, they had, hey, just give this country democracy. Just get rid of this dictator in this country and we'll give them freedom and democracy. I'm thinking if you don't have the right kind of population, they're just going to vote in their terrorist group with their favorite terrorist group. That's what they're going to do. The one place I look at over there and I say, those people seem like they're ready for a big change and that they would love it and that they wouldn't just go with the terrorist route seems to be Iran. Seems like the one place you could say, okay, freedom and democracy would work somewhere. It seems like there.
Well, actually, I have a study that I could show because I know it seems like that, but it's beyond seeming like it because I will also, once I start showing you things on my screen, there's actually a study that shows that the divide between the views of Iranian people and their government is the widest in the world. There's no other country in the world that there's such a huge gap between what the people think and what their philosophy are and how the government thinks and what they want. There's no wider gap. This is the widest gap. And actually, I saw Marco Rubio mentioning the exact same thing. This is an older study, but I saw that when he was being in the Senate, when they were accepting him to become the foreign minister, you guys call him something else, the foreign minister. But when he was being accepted for that, he gave a speech and he acknowledged that Iranian people, the divide between the Iranian people and their government is the greatest in the world. And I have a study to back that up. So yeah, you're completely right. Oh, something else. The videos that we have from Iran when the government puts the flag of Israel, paints the flag of Israel on the ground, and Iranian people avoid walking on it, those are old. That was the situation before. We are so far above that now. In Iran, we went from people not wanting to disrespect Israel to aggressively celebrating Israel. So if you go 5 years back, people in Iran, they weren't like aggressively pro-Israel. They just didn't want to disrespect Israel. Like that, the government wanted to disrespect Israel. The Iranian people were in the position, this is the country's flag, and we don't want to disrespect it. But it wasn't like now. Now, people wave the flag of Israel. And not, inside Iran even, like we have people taking, this is punishable by death. Less things are becoming, the Iranian government is more and more afraid to arrest people for different reasons, but this is still a huge red line. I saw a picture of somebody next to Azadi Tower in the middle of Tehran with the Israel holding an Israeli flag. People constantly write on walls graffiti, "Thank you, Israel. Thank you, Mossad. Come help us, Israel. We saved you 2,000 years ago, Israel. It's your turn to save us now, Israel." Which actually goes back to the Cyrus thing, right? Mm-hmm. So there's I don't think the outside of Israel, in the Middle East, there's no country that is more pro-Israeli than Iranians. Iranians are very aggressively pro-Israel. Like a lot of Iranians are constantly see Israelis as the people who get them, who are people who recognize the threat of Islamism. They recognize the threat. They share an enemy. They share the enemy which is the Islamic Republic, the regime. So the enemy of Iranian people and the Israeli people are the same enemy. They're both liberal people. Like within the Middle East, which is like it seems like it's a moral wasteland. There are two areas where there are people who fight for liberalism. By the way, liberalism, I know a lot of people might have, when I say liberalism, I'm not talking about wokeism. Okay, I'm talking about what you might call classical liberalism, right? So those liberal values, right? So it's Israel and Iranian people. These are the two nations who have the closest values in that region. So sharing same values and sharing the same enemy, and also having historical ties, which some people relate to, brings these people close to each other, right? And that's why Cyrus is used Reza Pahlavi very it was very smart of him to name this. We have the Abrahamic Accord, and they use Abraham because it brings Arabs, Jews, and Christians together, because Abraham was the main figurehead of all these all the religions. But Reza Pahlavi used Cyrus for the agreement that will bring Iranian people and Israeli people one day together, because Cyrus the Great was the historical is the person where the Jews and the Persians have a historical tie to, and they both celebrate as a great person, which I will get to, by the way, why both Jews and Persians celebrate Cyrus. But let me know when you want me to share the screen.
We can go ahead and jump into that in a second. I did want to update you on the poll. So look like we've got a few hundred votes. And the question, did you know who Reza Pahlavi is? And 52% say no. So it's a slight majority of people who didn't know who he was. And that's kind of why I wanted you to get everyone up to speed, because these look like times where we might get some serious significant changes, but lots of people in the West, when they think of Iran and America, they think of Iran and Israel. All that's in their minds is like crowds of people chanting "Death to America, death to Israel" in Iran, and they think that's Iranians. And you actually pointed out the last time we talked something that was interesting to me is you pointed out the only people now who support the Iranian government are the sort of the extreme end of the Shias. And they're the only support the government really has anymore. And so the government has to keep acting in accord with their will, which for them is like being global terrorists and trying to bring about the 12th Imam or something like that. And so they constantly want to stir things up. They want to stir things up. And you're pointing out back then that the government can't sort of become more moderate, because the only people they have on their that support them are the radicals. And if they became more moderate at all, then they'd lose the support of the radicals. Then they would have zero support from anywhere.
Well, yeah, the government is trying. It's a very delicate balance that they have to try to. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? So the main two issues that is basically bringing the regime down, and they're really, really afraid, is Israel and hijab, right? So the pro-regime hardliners, which are a very low minority now, the regime knows that this is the last remaining base that it has. And even dictators require some level of support to remain in power. If they lose that, then it's game over. We don't have the exact numbers. I'm guessing there is a remaining 6% support for them. That's my guess. Some people say lower, some people say higher. But if they lose, if that 6%, for example, turns into 3%, that it's over. And that 6% is turning on the regime because they think that the Islamic Republic is not Islamic anymore, because they're failing at two things. They're failing at responding to Israel, and they're failing at enforcing hijab laws, because the Iranian people are becoming too powerful. There are too many of us. There are too many. The opposition within Iran is too strong, and the regime cannot just go and arrest millions of people. Right? There's so many people in Iran are walking without hijab and enforcing. They even passed a very strict hijab law recently, but they're not enforcing it because it's unenforceable. There's just too many women without hijab just walking in Iranian streets. It's unenforceable. If they want to enforce it, it will trigger another revolution. So, and also when it comes to Israel, the hardliners are thinking that the government is constantly trying to convince the hardliners that we're winning, but it's becoming more and more obvious that they're not, that Israel is basically humiliating them. And this has become a PR nightmare for the regime, for its own, not for the people who are against the regime, the regime knows that they have completely lost those forever. They're not even trying to win back them. The fight is now within the hardliners, and a lot of hardliners are going out and saying this is embarrassing. How are we winning? We're failing the revolution. We're not an Islamic government anymore. You should fear us. Some of them are even threatening the regime, saying you should fear us more than those pathetic secular protesters. We actually don't mind dying for our cause. We know how to fight. We were in war before. We were in the Iraq war before. So if you were afraid of these weak secular massa revolutionaries, you should be afraid of us more, because if we want to because this is not Mahdi's government. We will bring Mahdi's government if you do not enforce Islamic Sharia law in this country. They're looking around and they're saying this does not look like an Islamic country if you are not enforcing it. So this internal fight between them, and the regime knows that these people are idiots. The regime knows that if I go attack Israel the way you want us to, the whole world would unite against us, and that would be the end of us, right? And they know that if they want to enforce hijab laws the way that these people want them, they're bankrupt right now. I mean, they're going to increase the price of gas any day now, and that could spark another revolution of its own. So they don't know what to do, but actually they do. What the regime does is that they brought on purpose a reformist president into power. And yes, the elections are completely made up. The Khamenei decides who becomes the president, and they brought a reformer president in power to try to convince the hardliners that everything is his fault and Khamenei is not to be blamed. So they're saying oh, we want to attack Israel, but the new president doesn't want to. And some hardliners are buying it. Oh, we want to enforce the hijab laws, but the new president is not letting us. So he is there, the so-called reformist president is there as a shield to take the blame for everything that is not going in the way that the hardliners want. That is the strategy, and it used to work very much better. It's not working as well. It's still working to some extent. I go into the hardliner social media a lot. I really listen to what the hardliners are saying, but it's not working as good as it used to. So we'll see. Things are not looking good for the regime.
The entire time you were speaking, I was like, this sounds like the regime is screwed, and it's just a matter of time, whether it's like weeks or a couple of years. So in short, the only support the regime has is the hardliners, but the hardliners are getting upset with the government too, because the government is realizing, wait, we actually can't continue this crackdown on everyone who takes off a hijab because there's an uprising whenever we do it. So we can't keep pushing, and we just can't keep pushing at Israel because they'll destroy us and we can't do it. And the hardliners are saying, oh, you guys are weak. Why would we support you when you're weak and you won't do all the stuff that needs to be done? In which case, they're not going to have any support, and that is a bad place to not have any support at all. That is a bad place to not have any support. Just right when I was saying that, I remember the story of the Anabasis. So that's ancient Greece, but you had who was it? It was Cyrus's grandson or something like this was the king, and his brother thought that he should be the king. So he went and hired an army of Greek mercenaries to come and help him take the throne from his brother. And they go all the way down in there. He marches an army of Greek mercenaries into the middle of the empire. And then the guy gets killed. The brother who wanted to take the throne gets killed on the first day of the battle. And so you had this group of Greek mercenaries right in the middle of the Persian Empire, and no leader. Their only justification. So anyway, they had to actually fight their way out because the empire was trying to kill them and so on. Seems like that's what the government's about to be like. It's like, looking around, and the entire country wants to destroy us here. This is pretty interesting. Let's take these next couple of super chats, and then you can jump. I'll put your I'll share your screen, and you can you can enlighten everyone, because again, so it's 55%. 55% now did not were not aware who Reza Pahlavi was. So lots of stuff to learn. Hey, David, is there any way to contact you to ask you some questions? Yeah, you could email me. In general, the shorter the question, the more likely it is to answer it. In other words, if I get lots of stuff, if I see an email that's like 50 questions, probably not going to jump on that. Also, super chats, but preferably when we're basically just taking questions along a topic you're interested in. That's a good way. David, what are your thoughts on the Ebionites? Could this be the community referred to in 352 and 61:14 of the Quran? No, because 61:14 specifically says that Allah aided them until they became uppermost, and the Ebionites were never uppermost over anything. What transformation did AP go through? They're still, because AP's normally live with me. They're still your clean-shaven AP. Armin, I'm agnostic now, atheist. We need to stop letting David talk to people. That's a joke, because AP went from being an atheist to being an agnostic. That actually happened when he visited Israel.
Agnostic and atheist are not mutually exclusive.
That's true. And Boomer said, "I've got more." Riyadh Salahin 746. Anas reported, "I saw the messenger of Allah eating some dates while sitting on his buttocks with his legs raised." Yes, the hadith are filled with super important, valuable information that we're glad this was preserved for the good of all humanity. And Abbasid Caliph once said, "The Persians ruled for 1,000 years and did not need Arabs even for a day. We have been ruling them for 1 or 2 centuries and cannot do without them for an hour."
Well, let's not make this a race thing, though, okay? Because the issue is with Islam. The issue is not with Arabs. And Iran has Arabs. And we consider them, our fellow citizens, right? So this is not a Persian versus Arab thing. This is an Islamic problem. And also, Arabs themselves are a victim of Islam. And also, we have many Arabs who are anti-Islam.
And 2 more real quick, and then the last one will be a good lead-in. But I got banned from X Twitter yesterday because I simply said Islam is a degenerate death cult. That's it. There's no freedom of speech on X. I don't know. I post stuff on Islam all the time, and I don't get banned, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you're in a different country or something like this, and they're actually following a country's laws or something like that, or if it's just kind of a remnant from the old X. But let's see. This is a good question. How do you visualize regime change? Usually revolutions go horribly. And I don't know if you're gonna talk about that when you're sharing your screen, but I have a follow-up to this, which I tweeted recently. I'm wondering, like, if Iran has a secular government, right? Like, because basically tons of people want to see that. Pretty much everyone wants to see the Iranian regime toppled. But how would that not become, like, if Iran became a secular country, how would that not become a target for, like, radical Shia terrorists who want to take it back? But also now you'd be surrounded by Sunnis as well. And so how does that not become, like, basically Israel 2.0 in terms of how much people are obsessively attacking it and so on. So anyway, so this question and then that, and you could bring it up as you go along, or you could talk about it now, either one.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'll answer your question first. Okay. If Iran becomes a secular democracy, there's no neighbor that has an expansionist attitude towards the borders of Iran, except maybe the Taliban from Afghanistan. So that would be the only, some people would argue that maybe Turkey would want to take out Azerbaijan. I don't think so. I think Iran will have, as a secular democracy, because it will become a liberal country, and it will have strong ties with Israel, European countries, Canada, and especially the United States. That unity with those countries will bring it before it gets the chance to build its own military, it will bring it a lot of international support to be able to protect itself from other places, but it wouldn't experience the same level of hostility as Israel. I mean, hostility that Israel is facing from its neighbors is unprecedented, but I think Iran would have to mainly be worried about its Afghanistan border, and that would be it. It faces no threat other than the terrorists in Pakistan. The Pakistan government itself has no ambitions. Iraq has no ambitions. But that would be the eastern borders would be the main issue, right? With regards to how do you visualize regime change? So first, I envision 3 ways of this happening, and I think the last one is maybe, hopefully, the most likely. I start from the least likely to the most likely, in my opinion, and I could be wrong because, again, these things are unpredictable. I'm just guessing. These are so multifactorial that things could change, and things could end up in ways that no. Here's one thing that we know about revolutions: the way that they happen are usually in ways that nobody saw coming, right? So that the most predictable thing about what's going to happen is that it's going to be unpredictable. It's going to be in a way that we didn't see it coming, based on history, right? So,
yeah.
But
The collapse of the Soviet Union was like that. Like I was raised in the Cold War when the Soviet Union is your most powerful enemy, and there could be a nuclear war at any minute. And you're always worried about this, and all of a sudden, I go to school one day, and it's like, oh yeah, the Soviet Union just collapsed. I was like, wait, what? The heck? Wait, where? What happened? And
Right.
so yeah, these things can happen quickly and unpredictably.
A Soviet Union type of collapse is what we're hoping for, right? No, not military, no bloodshed, no like a foreign war, like invasion, like not bombardments, no people needing to, like, it might come to actually people being armed at some point. Like, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to deny people their rights, but hopefully something closer to, again, I don't know if it's going to turn out. It could be because, I don't know, Israel attacks Iran with the help of the United States. That could spark it. It could be a mass revolution of people coming into the streets by millions, and people just basically taking down the regime.
That would be the best. That would be the best, by the way. Like it's the people themselves. Like if someone else does it, if someone else does it, like someone else imposes it on you, there's always this, oh, this came from outside. Whereas if it's like the people rising up, then it's like, this is ours. We're the people, and we took it.
Yeah, the problem with that one is that the people are not armed, so I know millions of people coming into the streets. Some people, again, this requires expert opinion. I don't know. Some people will say that it's important for that to happen, but how far could it go when unarmed people are facing an armed, military? But unarmed people in the streets could cause a significant part of the military to defect and join the people. So even if the people are not armed, eventually a lot of people in the streets could cause a part of the Artesh, not the IRGC, but the Artesh, which is the part of the army that was inherited from the Pahlavi dynasty, right? Which some people argue not its leaders, but its body is less ideological. So their hope is that would be ideal as well, that mass numbers of people in the streets will get the Artesh to eventually defect and join the people, and that would be the end of it. But another form of it is basically the economic collapse of the regime will cause the regime to just fall on itself, something which is basically the Soviet Union model. That would also be, and the internal fighting between them will just make them collapse. Again, or it could be a mix of all of these 3 combined. Maybe like an Israeli attack on the government itself doesn't bring the regime down, but it will spark a mass protest of people. So this, like, let's look at the scenario that is combination of all of these things. Let's say that people are saying that, okay, we have a full confrontational war between Israel and Iran, and the people think that, okay, this is the time that the government is weakest. Now it's the time to come into the streets. We also have an economic collapse of the regime happening at the same time because of the maximum pressure of Trump on the government. to not be able to sell its oil, and people think this is now the time to come in the streets, and that will spark maybe a semi coup d'état by a fraction of the Artesh. So it could be one of these things, and it could be all of them combined. But the least bloody, the better. So we're hoping for a not bloody situation. But again, whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened. Like, this is not under anyone's control. This is us. This is just guessing. If whatever is going to happen is, after it happens, we're going to look back at it and realize that it was inevitable for it to happen that way, and there was no other way for it to happen. So that's what I think.
You got a couple more questions here. Well, first you have a comment here. No worries, Armin's jawline will destroy Islam. Okay, we have an ongoing joke of what we decide whether someone is going to be victorious based on how strong their jaw is, and they said your jaw, they like your jawline. Okay, question here, Armin: are the reformists just puppets of mullahs like in the 80s, or are they independent of them?
No. They are basically, they get used whenever the mullahs are in danger. Okay, so the mullahs, the hardliners or mullahs and the IRGC tries to have full control, and every time basically the shit hits the fan, they bring the reformers to do a cleanup job for them, both internally and internationally, to give a false sense of hope for the people and the international community to back down. The reformers are the puppets of the hardliner. They're there to clean up their mess and to reduce pressure on them when pressure on them is high. They're trying to convince the people inside that things are going to get better. Look, the reformers are in charge, and also to convince the international community, like, oh no, things are going to not be the same as before because we have the reformers now. But remember, we had the highest numbers of people being killed, protesters being killed in the streets when Rouhani was in power, when we had the bloody Aban. According to Reuters, I think 1,600 people were killed in the streets when a reformist government was in power. We had continued support, financial support, military and financial support of Hezbollah, of Hamas, of the Houthis, of Kataib Hezbollah, of all these terrorist groups under both so-called reformers and hardliners. The reformers only speak differently, but they are there to support the exact same policies. There's no difference between them.
How is security situation in Iran for EU tourists now compared to before the pandemics? Had plans to go before COVID. Iranians are the most hospitable. So the question is just, is it safe to be tourists there?
Don't. No, don't at all.
Don't do it.
Okay. Yeah, the Iranian people are hospitable. The Iranian regime constantly uses European or Americans that are in Iran they take them hostage. They call them spies as a way for them to use them as leverage against European or North American countries.
So you're saying there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance if you're from Europe and you go there, you're from Europe or from America, you go to Iran, they'll just arrest you. They know you're not doing anything, but they'll arrest you and say, "We've caught this guy. He's a spy," and then it's basically holding you for a trade or ransom or deal or something. Yeah. So don't get into that. Don't get into that, guys.
Guys, this is not disputed. This is what I'm saying is, like, you might think like I'm exaggerating. This is not an exaggeration. They are doing that. They just recently did that. They used to do that to Iranian Americans, Iranian Canadians, Iranian Europeans. Now they don't give a crap. You don't have to even be an Iranian citizen. They just did that to Italian journalists. And they're not even hiding the fact that they used to pretend like, oh yeah, this person is a spy. Here's our evidence. They're not even pretending anymore. They just arrested her and they're like, yep, they didn't even explain what she did. They just arrested an Italian journalist to negotiate with the Italian government. Just go look this up. This is not even disputed anymore. But go on, yes.
Yeah, and finally here, you already kind of covered this, but isn't the IRGC part of Khomeini religious army? Do you see the IRGC surrendering?
Well, the IRGC is, we're talking about a huge monster with 1,000 heads. So the IRGC is not, it used to be just So when Khomeini came to power in the 1979 revolution, he created a parallel institution to the already existing institutions that the Pahlavi dynasty had set in place as an anti-coup measure. And the military that we had in Iran back then was the Artesh, and the IRGC was created as a parallel military as an anti-coup measure to keep the Artesh in place. But eventually, the Artesh turned into something much bigger. Even Khomeini, clearly, we have the video clip of Khomeini saying that IRGC should never be political. But after Khomeini's death, IRGC united with Khomeini, and not only became political, they became everything. They control 2/3 of Iran's economy. They're now controlling all the branches of Iranian politics. They're everywhere. They control almost everything in Iranian politics, except the office of the supreme leadership. So the main two political powers in Iran is one IRGC, and the other one is the office of the supreme leadership, right? And when Khamenei dies, the IRGC will probably have a full takeover of Iranian politics, right? So when you say, will they surrender? You're talking about a mass giant institutions with networks everywhere, with a lot of people. This is not an individual. This is a system. So I don't know. There are many people in it who might want to surrender, and there are many people in it who might not want to surrender. So it really depends. It's not like we're talking about an individual, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So you're going to give us a good tutorial on everything now. You want me to, you ready to share screen?
Yes. Share screen, please.
All right, guys, we're going to be off the screen, but I will just probably jump in if I am confused about anything or need clarification, but here we go.
Right. So for people, because now we're saying that only 44% of you know who Reza Pahlavi is. So 56% said no, 44% said yes. So before the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, we had the Pahlavi dynasty. The Pahlavi dynasty came after the Qajar dynasty, and it unfortunately had only two kings before the 1979 Islamic Revolution. So first we had the Qajar dynasty, then we had the Pahlavi dynasty, then we had the Islamic Revolution, and now we're stuck with the Islamic Republic, right? So the two kings of the Pahlavi dynasty, the first one at the first king is the one here at the very left. This is Reza Shah or Reza Pahlavi. So it's the grandfather of the current Prince Reza Pahlavi. And then we had Muhammad Reza Shah, which is the father of the current Prince Reza Pahlavi. And he was basically, his regime was toppled with the 1979 Islamic Revolution. And he is now in the US. This is the son of the former Shah. And this is the person we're talking about. So these are the three Pahlavis. The first two of them were kings in Iran. And now a lot of Iranians want this third man, to go back to Iran and represent the government. They want him to represent. Okay. So for a lot, I see there's a lot of Israelis in the chat. So I just want you to see again. So we're not going to have audio. So let me just mute this for myself as well, so I'm not hearing. But this was because we have technical issues, guys. These were supposed to be with audio.
But, there's just let me tell everyone. So there's a new problem that just arose at the on the last day of 2024, where when people try to share their screen with audio, they go into robot voice. Some of you who are watching our New Year's show saw that happen with God Logic and so on. Anyway, it only happens when people share audio. So hopefully we'll get that set up in the future.
That's fine, because I could explain. This is Reza Pahlavi, basically the third person that I showed you. Okay, so he's here in Israel. This is a video of him in Israel, and they're playing the national anthem of Israel here. And here's Reza Pahlavi. So this was a very historic thing happening. This is the highest official ever in Iranian politics visiting Israel. Nobody this high has ever visited Israel. And this is Reza Pahlavi, the person that Iranians want to come back to Iran to either be king or even president or prime minister or whatever. But you can see here in Jerusalem at the Wailing Wall, showing his respect, which was earth-shattering for a lot of Israelis, because a lot of Israelis didn't know that Iranians have a guy that is not only not hostile to Israel, he's coming here to Jerusalem and basically doing this such a symbolic act, right? So here you can see, let me close these other windows so that my tabs are not so big. Yeah. So here you can see Reza Pahlavi. He's visiting the family. Let me actually read the caption. Yeah. So this was after October 7th. He came and visited in Israel the family of the people who have lost their loved ones. Yes. So these people have lost their family by Palestinian terrorists, and Reza Pahlavi was there meeting them and showing his sympathy to them. And here is Reza Pahlavi in this video. Let me close the previous window. This is Reza Pahlavi in Israel with the Iranian community. So I don't know a lot of people, if a lot of people here know, Israel has an Iranian Israeli community there. So in Israel, there are Iranians in Israel who are Israeli citizens and Iranian as well, and they're proud Israeli citizens. And Reza Pahlavi, when he went to Israel, he went to that community. And please note, let me actually show this first. Notice the flag behind them. I want everybody to know this, okay? The top flag is the flag of the Islamic Republic. The bottom flag is the flag of Iran before the 1979 Islamic Revolution. And most Iranians consider the bottom flag to be their actual flag, not the flag above. Actually, the flag above is such an insult because the official, again, I'm not anti-Arab, okay? But the language of Iran, the official language of Iran is Persian, it's Farsi, okay? It's not Arabic. This is just like other countries have their own official language, and that's not an insult to anyone else's language. But this is the flag of, I think it's one of the only flags of a country which the writings on it is in a language that is not the official language of that country. So this flag has Allah in the middle in Arabic, and also it has Allahu Akbar in these rows above and below, which is Arabic, which is not the official language of the country. Anyways, this lion and the sun in the middle, that's the flag that the Iranian people recognize as truly their flag. So you can see in this ceremony, the flag behind Reza Pahlavi is the lion and the sword, and you can see the Israeli flag and the Iranian flag. And these are, I wish you could hear, this is they're playing Persian music in Israel, and Reza Pahlavi is there with the rest of the Persian community there to celebrate this. And let me go to the next picture. Hold on.
Hey, that food looks good.
Yeah. Food looks good. So I just wanted to show you this picture. Yeah, this one. This is Reza Pahlavi and his wife with Netanyahu and his wife. So that was a historic. And you can see before that trip, a lot of Iranians on social media were sharing this historic trip of Reza Pahlavi to Israel. A lot of Iranians were loving it, celebrating it as a historic event. You can see the flag of Iran next to the flag of Israel. By the way, you can see Iranians who are protesting outside of Iran's. Whenever they go out, you can see the two flags. The flag that is flown next to the Israeli flag the most is the Iranian flag outside of Iran. Like you can see, there are no two flags outside of the Middle East that are flown next to each other more than these two. Because when Iranians go and protest, they have this lion and sun flag with them, but many of them also bring the flag of Israel to make it clear. Like outside of Israelis, in other countries, you could see that it's the second only to Israelis themselves. The support for Israel is strongest among Iranians outside of Iran. There's no other non-Israeli community that is so adamant to show their support for Israel more than Iranians outside of Iran, right?
Quick question about the flags. So you've got the official flag of the Iranian regime, and then you have the earlier flag with the lion and sun on it. So if we see some protest or something and we see the flag with the lion and sword on it, those people would most likely be against the regime, right?
Oh, definitely be against the regime.
Okay.
This is
Okay. So, but
yeah.
so yeah. So that's what I was assuming. But would there be people who are against the regime who might also be flying the top flag there, or could you basically
No.
completely distinguish between the two based on which flag they're waving?
Okay. Yeah, so there are some people who don't like the think. Okay, so some people who are not monarchists think that this is a monarchist flag, and they don't. There are a few people, but this is not a monarchist flag. The monarchist flag has this and a crown on top of it. Okay,
Mhm.
but this is just the Iran's flag. So some people who think that this is a monarchist flag and they want to say we're anti the regime, but we're not monarchists, they try to change this, and a lot of Iranians are like, don't do that, this is actually our flag, right? But those are very rare people. Usually it's either one of these two. But no, this is not the flag of Iran. This is the flag of a party which turned into the name of the country. This is the flag of the Islamic Republic. So if somebody has this flag, they're either ignorant or they're pro-regime, or they're just giving into pressure. Or like they have sometimes they have excuses like, well, officially internationally this flag has been recognized. But it's very rare for people to be anti the regime and have this flag with them. Like there are people who like that, but most people, most Iranians, if they have a chance, if they are free to do so, this is the flag that they would go with, not the one above, right?
All right. Mhm.
They don't even they consider this flag to be offensive. Many Iranians, yeah,
All right.
to them, right? Okay, so I just want to make sure that I don't generalize. If I some Iranians might get upset with me because I'm talking about some really rare cases of people, and they're like, why are you even mentioning them, Armin? I just want to make sure that I don't generalize. I want to make sure that I cover everything. I want to be fair. Okay, so this is the Pahlavi family now. This is Reza Pahlavi. That's his wife over there. These are his children, and that's his mom, Farah Pahlavi, the former queen of Iran. Actually, a lot of people will be offended by me saying that. A lot of people will like, how dare you say the former queen of Iran? You should say the current queen of Iran. Right? Okay, but this is the wife of Mohammad Reza Shah before he died, the former king of Iran. This is her before, and this is her now. Actually, now that I'm showing her, let me show you another picture of somebody who of her who pissed off a lot of pro-regime people and some leftists in Iran. Not just pro-regime people, leftists also got butthurt. This is her now holding the Israeli flag. So this is the former queen of Iran, the mother of Reza Pahlavi, the person that we're talking to her. And you can see the flag of the lion and sun flag behind her there, and the flag they're holding the flag of Israel as support. And you can see some people condemning this. These are either pro-regime people who wrote this, or leftists. Some, again, not all leftists, maybe I should say like far leftist Iranians, right? So we have those as well, guys. This is a curse. This is actually a bigger curse. The far leftist people in Iran have been a curse. They are responsible for the Islamic Revolution. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Whoa.
But anyway, somebody is saying that, how basically insulting her and saying how dirty that you have to be to basically support the evil criminal Zionist regime and stuff like that. So that's what it's saying, right? But they shared this to insult her. But a lot of Iranian people, when they saw this picture, like, oh wow, you're actually advertising her. A lot of Iranian people were like, good on you. This is fantastic. Like this actually made her. People ended up loving her more. Also, this is her before. This is Reza Pahlavi. This is Mohammad Reza Shah. And this is Farah Pahlavi when she was queen. And this is them now. This is the family now. You can see it's a very casual, fun family, like very modern. And this again, so this is Reza Pahlavi here. This is Farah Pahlavi, the queen, and this is Yasmin Pahlavi, the wife of Reza Pahlavi, and these are their children and the family. And here's another picture of Mohammad Reza Shah and Reza Pahlavi, the person. This is Reza Pahlavi when he was younger, and this was his father when he was the Shah, together in the picture. I love this picture, so I just wanted to share. And again, this is the three of them next to each other, so you know people. This is how they celebrate them. So this is Reza Shah. The middle one is Mohammad Reza Shah, and people want Reza Pahlavi to be the second, you know, Reza Shah. Okay, but again, the monarchists won that. The Republican Iranians, they might say like, we want the Republican Iranians to support him. Maybe they want him to be, I don't know, a president or a prime minister or something else, right? I was going to share with you guys the speech. We don't have audio, but there are two speeches that I wanted to share with you to demonstrate how forward thinking was a speech by Mohammad Reza Pahlavi about the industrial revolution that he brought to Iran. The reason why a lot of people love Reza Pahlavi is because Reza Pahlavi is this man's son. Okay, and Muhammad, this is Muhammad Reza Shah. Reza Pahlavi is his son, right? Muhammad Reza Shah and his father Reza Shah, basically the Pahlavi dynasty together, are responsible for the greatest leap in Iran, economically, industrial, cultural, uh, based on women's rights, all rights, to be honest, education and healthcare. It was, I would call it a miracle if I wasn't an atheist, but it was the closest thing that you could get to a miracle in a country. It was
you could just call yourself an agnostic from now on. Okay.
But in this speech, you can see the programs that he's introducing. He was a very, very, very modern man. Okay, and him and his father. And I know personally, my family has benefited from this man's very directly, because my father got his medical. My father is a heart surgeon. Him and his father are responsible for building so many universities in Iran. And my father got his medical degree in Shiraz University, which was one of the top universities in the world at its time. And I studied in Tehran University as well, which was founded by the Pahlavi dynasty. So me and my father were educated in the universities that these men built. And Iran was scientifically very advanced and ahead of its time because of the scientific and technological advancements that these two men brought to this country. I could go over the things that they have done for the country, and we were a Taliban like country during the Qajar dynasty. Like, if you had seen the Iran before and after the Pahlavi dynasty, it was not, you wouldn't recognize it as the same country. What these people did for Iran was a giant leap forward. They actually, and also women's. I would say Reza Shah is I would say this without any hesitation, is the greatest feminist in the history of all kind. Like, what that man did to women's rights, I challenge you to bring anything even as, I mean, maybe you could find some people, I don't know, but if he's not the greatest person when it comes to affecting millions of women and giving them rights, he should be one of the top 5, if not close to number 1.
He
right?
can't be number 1, because number 1 is Prophet Muhammad, right? So
yeah,
that's what I hear. Fortunately, I don't hear that much anymore, but like 12 years ago, I heard it all the time. Muhammad was the greatest feminist who ever lived.
Right. Oh, by the way, in this very speech, there's so many interesting points in the speech. But at the end of the speech, he's talking about the program that he's planning to, one of these programs that he was trying to introduce that he didn't get to because of the Islamic Revolution, which he talks about in this very speech, is that he was trying to introduce 24/7. He was trying to basically bring all the top teachers, elementary, high school teachers of the country, to identify who are the best elementary school and high school teachers in the country, bring them, get them to teach while being recorded, and get those recording and basically broadcast that to all TVs in Iran 24/7 for free. That was a program that he wanted to do, and he really understood the importance of education. He considered, he was a man that constantly tried to make the country more democratic, and it backfired multiple times on him. He actually got us because the leftist communists were trying to take over, and every time he was trying to loosen the grip and make the country more democratic. One time they tried to do a coup, and another time they tried to assassinate him. They shot him. You can see him here. He was shot, and then he had to tighten the grip a little bit more. He was actually at fighting his own intelligence operations in intelligence, the Savak, because the Savak wanted to tighten the grip and he wanted to make the country more democratic. And Savak, which is like the country's CIA at the time, was telling him, if you do that, the communists will take over. So he was basically challenging his own government, trying to make the country more democratic. But every time it did that, one time he got almost assassinated, and the other time a coup was attempted on him. And that's why he thought that maybe the path to democracy was to build a foundation, democratic foundation. So he was trying to work on the foundation, which was education, to eventually get the country to a full-on democracy. And that's why he also gave women the right to vote for the first time. My dog is knocking at the door. She's trying to get in. By the way, this picture, let me actually open the door for my dog. 1 second.
You're good. Ladies and gentlemen, always, 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 always take care of your dog, everyone.
Yes. I will maybe show her on screen once I get back.
Dogs
okay, by the way, there's
dogs are
something. Yeah. One thing I want to say about this picture is you're going to love this, David. The man who shot him, he immediately forgave him and let him free. Okay? He said that if you had taken action against somebody else or against the country or something, I could not forgive you because it would not be my place to forgive. But because the action you took was only against me, then I'll forgive you. And that man that he forgave, he became his supporter, and he spent basically supporting him after that. Okay.
Wow.
And the guy was a militant leftist that did this to him, that shot him. So, and again, this sounds so unbelievable that I suspect that many people would not believe me. Go look this up. This is actually history that he did that. Okay. So now let's go. Okay. So this was the family. So this was Muhammad Reza Shah here. And this is Farah Pahlavi, the queen. And this is Reza. Okay. Now my dog wants to go out. 1 second.
Everyone, always take care of your dog. Take care of your dogs, everyone.
Sorry, she just came. She comes in. She wants to get petted because when she, but then once she gets petted, she's like, "Okay, I had enough," and then she wants to go.
You don't have to explain dogs to us.
Okay. So yeah, so this is Reza Pahlavi. This is the person we're talking about today. This is Muhammad Reza Shah. So now this is Reza Pahlavi and his family. And the reason why I want to show these pictures, but people are like, why are you showing us family pictures? Because this is the picture that represents Iranian people. Okay, this is what Iranian people are like. The mullahs and their beards and their turbans, that's not what Iranian people look like. This is closer to an Iranian family. This is the average. This is the reason why I like to show this picture, because I just want to show you this is a family man with normal people who are actually modern, liberal, secular, and normal family. And that's why when Iranian people, when they look this is why they say, like, yes, that, our politicians do not look like us. These people look like foreign invaders. They don't look Iranian to us. This looks Iranian to us. This is what our politicians should be looking at like.
So you're saying the average like family in Iran, this is how they would want to be, but you have the mullahs, and when any of these people step outside their door, they have to dress like the mullahs want, and that this is that's why they're not getting along.
I'm just saying it's the current regime people are not relatable to Iranian people. Again, so everything I'm saying can be my made-up nonsense. I am just such a Pahlavi bootlicker that is making this stuff up based on just a few social media posts, so I cannot be trusted. I'm twisting the truth to you guys, for you guys. So yeah, don't trust me. Let's look at some stats instead, right? So let's look at some So you guys know that I'm not making this stuff up. I actually try to be a very skeptical person, and I try to make sure that if I'm saying something, it's based on actual good information, right? So let's go look at this. So you can actually go verify these yourselves. This is a group based in Netherlands. It's an academic study, and you could go read the method. We did a full 3-hour stream just studying the methodology of this study, because a lot of people were like, how could you trust this? So we did a live stream on my Persian channel just to make sure that we cover that. Well, to be fair, not the entire stream was about that, but the end of it was. So the numbers that I want to show is this part, right? So there was a solidarity council with many politicians from the opposition that many Iranians wanted to be on the council, as a council against the Islamic Republic. I just want to show you, these are all the main figures in the Iranian opposition. All the biggest name in the Iranian opposition, their names are listed here, right? So people, they were asked, of those you selected for the Solidarity Council, who is your first choice, right? Just look at these numbers. Look at Reza Pahlavi. So I want to be, so this was a couple of years ago. I think this was back in 2022. So it's been 3 years from now. So I suspect these numbers are now significantly higher. Both the numbers that is support for Israel and support for Pahlavi from 3 years ago, I suspect is now significantly higher for Reza Pahlavi, okay? Because of many documentaries that came from the Pahlavi dynasty since. Many Iranians are rediscovering their love for Pahlavi, everything Pahlavi. But even back then, even though, like, I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't the majority. But look at everyone else. Look at the difference between Reza Pahlavi and every single other figure. Nobody comes even close. There is nobody, we have no other brand name, no other person that we can create an opposition for. And again, we don't need every Iranian to support Reza Pahlavi. You could, with only 3% support, you could do wonders. But if you have this level of support, look at that. And like, who else are you going to pick? Who else are you going to pick for an opposition leader? I mean, look, for example, I know a lot of foreigners know Masih Ali-Nejad. Look at the level of support. Just compare that. Look, Masih Ali-Nejad, I know she has done a lot of, because she's big on social media, many non-Iranians know her. But look at the difference between, for example, Masih Ali-Nejad and Reza Pahlavi. Oh, so the Iranians inside Iran and Iranians outside of Iran. So that's how is the difference, right? So this is why we go based on numbers. So, and again, no other politician in all of Iran comes even remotely close. Both like pro-regime people, anti-regime people. There is not a single other politician that enjoys this level of support. Okay.
Hey, quick question. So, do you have any political interest? Like if Reza Pahlavi said, "Hey, Armin, I'm going back and I'm gonna take over, and I'd like you to be involved in the government." Do you have any interest like that?
Oh no way! I don't.
Yeah, me neither.
I want to be safe. No, there are a lot of people in Iran. My safety will never. No, you know what? I love my job. I love being a YouTuber. Okay, I don't want to do anything else. No. So let's go to the Baradad Kurosh, or as you call it, the Cyrus Accord. Let me introduce you to why this name is such a great name and why Reza Pahlavi is right. So you guys all know about the Abrahamic Accord, right? So the Cyrus Accord is named after Cyrus the Great, and it's such a great name for. This is Cyrus's cylinder. Do you guys know what Cyrus's cylinder is? Have people heard of this? So I went and visited the Cyrus cylinder myself. It's in the British Museum. If you guys are in London, the British Museum is the largest free museum in the world. So you don't have to pay anything. Like, you have the Hermitage Museum in Russia, and then you have the Louvre Museum in France. But you all have to pay to get in there. But the British Museum, you don't have to pay anything. And if you go to the British Museum, make sure you visit the Cyrus cylinder, because this cylinder represents the earliest declaration of human rights in history, right? By Cyrus the Great, when Cyrus freed Babylon, which involves freeing the Jews from Babylon. This was his declaration, and this was in line with all of his policy. To, if you actually go read the details of this cylinder, this part of it shows how tolerant of a person he was. Basically, whenever he took a place and he added it to the empire, unlike all the other empires that came before him, he would not force his way upon the people there. He would even keep the kings that were there in place. He would let people continue to practice their own religion instead of enforcing their religion upon the people there. And he would free people. He freed many slaves. And also, when he freed the Jews, he freed them to go back to Jerusalem. And not only did he free them to practice their own religion in the way they wanted, he actually even financially supported the Jews to rebuild the temple. So Cyrus the Great financially, actually, he spent money in to rebuild the temple. And
Yeah,
that is why
so let me
go.
give people the background of how the Jews were in captivity. So you had everyone, and those of you who are familiar with the Bible will recall this. But the Assyrian Empire conquered the northern kingdoms, and then later what was left was conquered by the Babylonians, and the Babylonians destroyed the temple. And one of the ways people would deal with groups that kept revolting or who did not want to submit was you just deport the population, or a large portion of the population, so that they couldn't form an organized resistance anymore, because you've scattered them to various places in your empire. So the Babylonians did that, and that's what we mean by the Babylonian captivity. And then the Persians came, conquered the Babylonians, and then you get Cyrus. And Cyrus told the Israelites, "You can go back. You can all pack your bags and go back to your own country." And then he said, "I will fund you a new temple because your old one was destroyed by the Babylonians." So.
Right. So basically, Jews in the live chat, you owe us, okay? When you were in captivity, when you were in captivity, we freed you. Now we are in captivity, so help us out. So it's now the time for you guys to return the favor. I'm joking, by the way.
No. So two ways. One, you can find how to support Armin, and you can repay him that way for his ancestors saving you and giving back your temple. And you can help all the Iranian people who protected you back in the day by bombing the crap. No, just kidding. But not really.
No, not really. Yeah. No. Please bomb the crap out of every IRGC site in Iran. The Iranian people, many of them celebrate Israel coming in and bombing, especially military. Okay, so to be honest, many Iranian people might not like it if Israel comes and hits any energy infrastructure in Iran, because that would mean electricity outages for Iranian people. But if Israeli planes military targets, they will celebrate that. They will thank you. They will say thank you to Israel, as they have before. Many of them will. All right. One thing I wanted to mention about the Cyrus cylinder, I forgot. So wait. So first of all, this is the reason why a lot of people call this either the first known, or one of the earliest forms of Declaration of Human Rights, is the recognitions of people's right to basically practice, live their lives the way they want. And also, with regards to the Cyrus Accord, which Reza Pahlavi coined as an agreement suggested for after this regime to have with the Iranian people, I want to compare that with the Abrahamic Accord. The Abrahamic Accord is mostly with the rulers of Arab countries and Israel. So the Abrahamic Accord is mostly a unity attempt at unity between Israel and the rulers of Arab countries. Even though many of the people hate it, many of the people of these countries might not agree with that. The rulers want it, but the people might not want it. the Cyrus Accord would actually be a even deeper unity if it ever happens with the eventually secular regime in Iran, if this regime is toppled at some point, because it would be a unity. It would be an between not just the regime. It would be a unity between the people as well, because the people of Iran would be very eager to be friends with Israel. So that would be the difference, right? So,
oh yeah, that would be huge, because the way it's listed is Iran, Israel, and the Arab countries, and so that would seriously marginalize any groups that still just want endless terrorism and so on.
yes, yes. Okay, so I just want to give you some updates from Iran. A lot of Iranian people. So I don't know if you guys know, two of the Supreme Court judges in Iran were just assassinated. And Iranian people are very happy because they're saying that this was such a blessed year. Spring started with Raisi and the foreign minister of Iran, and this IRGC guy Zahedi dying in a helicopter. Well, these are two died in a helicopter. Some people say accident. Some people say Israel did it. Some people are saying the government did it itself. We don't know, but these people died. Then in summer we had Ismail Hania dying by Mossad in Tehran, and then in fall we had Nasrallah dying, Assad falling, some other Hezbollah people and IRGC people being taken out by Israel. But winter has been very good for Iranian people, because winter, again, YouTube, I do not endorse violence here. I'm just basically saying I'm just reporting what many Iranian people are happy about. And these other ones, most of these other ones Israel is responsible for, and Iranian people were so happy, and they were many Iranian people were happy. I'm trying not to generalize all Iranian people. Many Iranian people were happy, and they were thanking Israel, and they were thanking Bibi, and for all these gifts. They call it kotlet. They say thank you for cooking us all this kotlet, Israel. But this one specifically, Iranian people were thanking Israel because Israel was doing things that the Iranian people wish they could do themselves, like take out these people themselves. But eventually they did. These are two of the highest judges in Iran, responsible for passing out death sentences to tens of thousands of people, okay? And killing them in the most gruesome and inhumane way possible. These judges were part of the 1980s Council of Death. That's actually what it's called, the Council of Death, responsible for killing up to 30,000 Iranians without any court hearings or any chance of defense, simply for being anti-regime. And they were killing them in such mass numbers. It's one of the greatest massacres in modern history that has gone ignored. The massacre of anti-regime Iranians in the 1980s. Go look it up. And these are two of the judges that were responsible for it back then, and they're also now they were part of the Supreme Court. So there are very few judges in Iran that are above this. And there was a man that worked for their office bringing tea for 10 years, and he took a knife and he stabbed the security guy, took his gun and shot these two. Again, YouTube, we do not endorse this. We do not endorse violence for legal reasons. I'm saying this, and also just know that I'm just telling you what has happened. We're just reporting the news. But many Iranian people are celebrating this. They're saying that the day that this happened should be the National Tea Man Appreciation Day. And many people are writing on Iranian walls in Iran, are writing walls saying thank you, T-Man. Some people are saying this is impossible for a T-Man to have done this. This must have been the security person himself. Some people are saying it's the Mossad. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know that they be dead, and we know that people are celebrating in Iran and they're happy.
Hey, you know what's interesting? Do you know where that was? Like what city that was?
That was in Tehran, in the Kakh Ghazaiye, which is basically closest to the Supreme Court building. It was in the main building of the of the justice system.
Yeah, I'm saying that
And
because now
mainly,
that you're pointing out that it was a guy who was the Tea Man. In the U.S., we have what's called the Boston Tea Party. That's
oh,
where the Americans rebelled against the British, and they were increasing the tea tax, and a bunch of Americans went and dumped all the tea into Boston Harbor. Told them to go screw themselves. But yeah, this I'm not giving it any suggestions, but this could be called the Tehran Tea Party.
that's a good. I didn't think about that. That's interesting. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, I want to give you some more updates here, and I know, guys, some people here might be pro-Trump, anti-Trump, but that's not relevant. I just want to show you some Iranians. I just wanted to show you the attitudes some Iranians have. After Trump's inauguration, many Iranians were happy that Trump became president. You can see writings on walls. I had a woman that was saying let me see if I could find a video of that lady really happy that Trump got elected, sending her blessings to Trump. I don't know if I could find that video, maybe not, but here's somebody writing on the wall saying, good job, Trump. And here's another, let me show you this video. Oh yeah, so this is another video saying that the inauguration of Trump equals the beginning of hope for the nation of Iran, right? And
So is this basically the support for Trump? Is it basically we know Trump is going to be significantly harder, even if it's not bombings or invasions or anything like that, that he's at least going to make some sort of sanctions that'll make it more difficult for the government. And so they're like looking for, and it's like, hey, if he causes trouble for the government, or if Israel causes trouble for the government, it's basically they're kind of waiting for their moment.
Yes, and I don't know. I don't know if I should agree or not, because Trump is very unpredictable. So I hope what they wanting for Trump to do, actually he does it, right? Like I really do hope that Trump does his maximum pressure. What I'm worried about, because Trump is very unpredictable, and sometimes he does maximum pressure to bring people to a deal, and his eventual goal is to do a deal. And if he does a deal, a lot of Iranian people will be disappointed. So, and I say this because historically, Trump, for example, said, "Oh, NAFTA is the worst deal ever," and then he took it out, and then he did another deal that was very similar to NAFTA, anyways. And then he was very, very aggressive on North Korea, and then eventually he did maximum pressure to get them to come sign something with him, and then he became very friendly with them. So that's just the art of the deal. The art of the deal is maximum pressure to give them to be so desperate to eventually do a deal. So what the Iranian
I guess your view would be some people you don't make deals with, you crush them.
Yes. The Iranian people don't want that deal. The Iranian people just would like the maximum pressure part. They don't want the deal part. They're like, you just continue to do the maximum pressure until these people are as you say, completely crushed, right?
Yeah. So that I guess that would be the ideal situation, because again, I mean, you kind of don't want someone else coming in and imposing a new government. But if Israel or the U.S. just make it, I mean, it seems like it could go like at any time. It's just something needs to set it off. But it's basically if they make things more difficult for a government that is already like barely hanging on by a thread, then that might be all the help that people need there.
Yes, but Trump has signaled that he doesn't care for regime change. He just wants the regime not to get nuclear. So I think Israel. That's why Iranian people, many of them, see is more of an ally in Israel than in the United States, because Trump is like, you know what, not our war, not our problem. We're not gonna deal with the Middle East. We're not gonna go for regime change or anything like that. Israel is more closely aligned with the Iranian people, because Israel considers the Islamic Republic to be an existential crisis to its own survival and to its own existence, and the Iranian people can relate with that. But United States is like, yeah, we will support Israel, in a way that we're not going to stand, like Trump will not stand, and maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Recently, he has been taking some anti-Netanyahu stances, so I don't know what's going to. Again, he's like very unpredictable. So I don't know if these hopes are going to come true. I hope they come true. I hope. But that I'm just showing you what a lot of Iranian people are hoping. So, like, here's another thing. For example, this is in Iran. So somebody is video this. I know why this person is videoing this site first, because he wants to make sure that people know that this is definitely in Iran. And then he goes to this picture and like, look, this is in Iran because this is a recognizable street. And then if you go, so look at this. This is not even a graffiti. They went and professionally just printed this, right? So they printed Trump, and if you zoom in here, it says Aga Trump. Let me see. ما را از چنگ اهریمنی این رژیم نجات بده. So it says, Mr. Trump, save us from the claws of this demonic regime. So that's the message that people put in Iran in response to him winning the election. To Iranian people are like, please come and save us. But again, this is actually a major source of disagreement among even anti-regime Iranians, because many anti-regime Iranians are like, some of them say, stop asking Israelis and Americans to come save us. We need to do this ourselves. Some people are saying, like, we can't do this ourselves. We're not armed. We need the help of Israel and America. How are we going to do this ourselves? So there's a huge disagreement between some Iranians on this. And some people, like me, are in the middle. We're saying, like, we can't expect somebody to come do a revolution for us. This revolution has to be done by the Iranian people. But at the same time, we cannot ignore the help that we might get. Like, we shouldn't go as far as saying it like, hey, come save us. But we can ask for support. We need the support. Like, no revolution in history has been successful without some outside support. So I think, like, I'm in the middle. I'm like, yeah, this is a revolution that has to be done by the Iranian people. But at the same time, it's not wrong to ask for outside support. It's a combination of both. That's how I see it. Anyways, I showed everything. So if you want to put us back on screen.
Right. Yeah. And yes, along those lines, in the Revolutionary War, the American patriots did have support, mainly from people who didn't like the British. They're like, hey, we the French actually had our backs. Isn't that weird thinking about that? All right, awesome. So yeah, that's why I asked you to come on here. Most of what you just said, and I'm someone who deals with Islam and the Middle East regularly. Normally tend to focus on Sunni stuff, which is why I always need help whenever it's the topic is Iran. But yeah, most of what you just shared was completely new information to me. So very helpful and good for everyone to be up to date on what's going on, because I mean, this is Iran is periodically big news going on in the world, but over the past couple of years with everything going on, seems like they've got their tentacles. The regime in Iran has their tentacles in everything as far as stirring up problems in other parts of the world and so on. So it would just be very interesting change if that was just no longer happening. That if Iran wasn't kind of stirring up everyone all the time,
it will fix so many things, right? Everything, almost every mess that you see in the Middle East is because of the support from the Islamic Republic. And there are a lot of other mess around the world that even if the Islamic Republic is not responsible for it, they are supporting it. Where you see chaos, there's a good chance that Islamic Republic of Iran the regime is supporting it in some way. And if it's the Middle East, there's almost 100% chance. It's crazy. Like, show me a terrorist group in the Middle East, and I will show you how the Islamic Republic is supporting it. So it's in the best interest of everybody for this regime to topple. And again, like I told you, there's the two main people. So one reason we support Israel, one reason of it for supporting Israel is because Israel is the most threatened country in the world. And we support every country in the world. But one of our main focus is on Israel because nobody else's existence is being threatened in the same way Israel is, right? So that's reason number one. But reason number two, oh
That's
hey,
true.
AP.
Oh, hey, what's up?
AP was instantly agreeing with everything you're saying.
Armin, how are you doing?
Yes, AP's here. Good, good. I missed you. I was so sad that I don't get to see you, but now I'm happy.
Oh, that's good.
Okay,
That's good.
okay.
I'm happy to see you.
Right. Yeah, I heard you got a new a major death threat live on air.
Yes, I did. It was awesome, man. Awesome. New achievement.
New achievement on
Yeah.
that.
Hey, AP,
Okay.
is someone going to
Well,
release? Is someone going to release that clip, or do I have to actually watch the entire thing to find that interesting stuff?
Yeah,
yeah,
actually, I was messaging with Jai earlier, and he put it together. So I think he's gonna publish it, and I'm gonna publish it on my channel as well. Just a clip of the death threats, and then I also want to publish then a shorter version of the entire debate with focus on the death threats and the points and on all that.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, Armin, you were saying, and then so yeah, Armin,
thank
whatever you
you.
were saying, and then I did want to go ahead and check out Reza Pahlavi's letter about the Cyrus Accords and
Okay.
stuff.
So yeah, the second reason why we support Israel is because Israel is fighting our wars, right? The enemies of everything that the values and the order that has made the world such a better place. These are the people that are coming for the world, and I have studied this. This is not an exaggeration, right? The whole Muslim Brotherhood movement started with the idea that we should be takfiring Muslims who are not political, because it's part of Islamic law and Islamic requirement for you to want to bring a caliphate back to the world. That project failed. There are no regimes right now that are trying to, no Sunni Islamic regimes that are trying to take over the world. I know they're Islamic, they're backwards countries that are Islamic, but they are backwardness within their borders. They don't have any expansionist attitudes. The idea of Muslim Brotherhood initially was that this is wrong. We have Darul Harb and Darul Islam, and Darul Islam is supposed to win. Every Muslim who does not agree with this is denying a commandment of Allah and therefore not a Muslim. So, but that project failed. We don't have any political order right now in the world except Hamas that has those ambitions. But that idea made its way through Nawab Safavi meeting with Muslim Brotherhood, went to Iran, and it found a Shia version of it was copied in Iran, and it grew in Iran, and eventually it got merged with communist leftist ideas, and that gave birth to the Islamic Revolution of 1979. And they replaced the idea of caliphate with a global imamate, because caliphate is a Sunni concept, imamate is a Shia concept. And they inherited that idea, and they are trying to create a global bloc using the Palestinian cause as an excuse to wage war against the world liberal order, which they call Western imperialism. They had a 3-step plan. They saw Iran, they think Iran is the chosen country by Mehdi to start this revolution. And they don't think the revolution has ended in 1979. The 1979 revolution was the beginning of the revolution. That's why they still call themselves revolutionaries. Because why would you be a revolutionary if the revolution is over? The Pahlavi dynasty has fallen, so we're not revolutionaries anymore. No, because they are spending Iran. They don't consider themselves working for the sake of Iran. Iran is something that you are spending for the sake of a global revolution. The actual enemy is the global liberal order, which is being run, the main center of it being in Washington with the United States. So the phase one was to remove what they consider the puppet of the imperialist West, the Pahlavi dynasty in Iran, to remove that, and they think phase one has been completed. Phase two for them is to remove the puppet of the imperialist global order in the Middle East, which is the Zionist regime. That's phase 2. So Pahlavi was phase 1, Israel is phase 2, and once you take the Middle East, with the excuse of being supporting Palestine, phase 3 is the rest of the planet. So this Israelis, when they're fighting, the people that they're killing, they are everyone's enemies. This is why all countries, when you support Israel, you are not supporting Israel. When you support Israel, you're supporting the world, because they're standing between you and the enemies of the entire planet. That's why we support Israel. But the reason why I said all of that is because there are also, other than Israelis, there are also another group of people that are fighting your enemies, and those are Iranian people. The Iranian people are fighting your enemies as well. So in the same way that supporting the Israeli people is supporting the world because they're fighting your enemies, supporting Iranians against the regime is also supporting the world because they're standing between you and your enemies.
Yeah,
So
Armin. That last actually what you were saying that entire time, similar to what I've been telling people for the past couple of years, as far as the big picture is concerned, as far as the big picture, when the Ottoman Empire lost World War One, and then the empire collapsed, so they lost their caliphate. They'd always had a caliphate, and now they didn't have a caliphate anymore. The attitude in a lot of areas of the Muslim world was, we lost. This didn't go the way we thought. We're not as strong as we thought. Something is horribly wrong. We need to modernize and adapt and become more like Western nations. And so when you look at pictures of Iran from the 1960s or Afghanistan from the 1960s, they look like Western nations. You had women going to school to study computers and so on. But you had sort of the reaction to that, this is the Muslim Brotherhood. It's wait a minute. Maybe the reason that we're losing and other nations are more powerful is that Allah's not blessing us because we haven't been strict enough in imposing. We've been soft and we've compromised and we're hypocrites. Maybe see if we just crack down and become full Sharia compliant, and we crack down on every bit of hypocrisy or anything against Islam, then Allah will bless us, and then we can take over the world. So the Sunni version of this is the Muslim Brotherhood, and then you have the Shia version of that with the Iran revolution, and this carries on for several decades. But the light at the end of the tunnels is they've been trying it. We've had the Sunni version sort of culminating in ISIS, and we've got the Shia version, and they're failing. They're failing, and they're imploding from within, and they're ripe for actually losing. And why that is so huge is that's kind of like the last. There's nothing else besides that, right? It's hey. Maybe the reason we're not dominating is because Allah's not blessing us because we haven't cracked down on everyone. Okay, now you've tried that. If that doesn't work, what explanation do you have for why you're losing? There is no other explanation, and I think you might actually have a pretty good path forward if the Muslim Brotherhood collapses because it just didn't work, if it fails, and if the Iranian Revolution ultimately, if that effort ultimately collapses, then I think we have a pretty good time ahead.
I just want people to understand how devastating this is, not just to Israelis and Iranians, but to Palestinian people, okay? Because for this project to work, Palestinian people need to suffer. They need to constantly be killed. They need to constantly... the Palestinian people are being used. All the Westerners who are holding Palestinian flags...
Just to be clear, you weren't saying that Palestinians need to be killed, right?
No.
No, you're saying that's their... Republic. Yeah, that's their view. Okay, good. Just wanted to clear. Yes, AP would have been upset. He would have been like, finally, someone agrees with me! Sorry. Yeah.
So the Islamic Republic needs the Palestinian people to suffer because that is the entire excuse, because they're Shia and Shias are minority in the Islamic world. So the whole project of a global takeover by Sunnis is over, is done. Okay, it's the Shias, because I don't know, ISIS and Al Qaeda, these are not regimes. These are not countries. These are not governments. The only government, the only regime that has such an ambition is Shia. But their problem is that most Muslims are not Shia, so they need the Palestinian cause to unite Sunnis behind them. That's why the fall of Assad was such a devastating event for them, because it basically divided Sunnis and Shias again. But they need the Palestinian people to be, as they say it, under occupation or under horrible conditions or whatever, to find a way. That's why they constantly get in the way with any. That's why these are the people who brainwash Palestinians. That's why they were always a hesitation and an allergic reaction to any peace deal, to two-state solution. Israel has tried so many times throughout its history to come up with an agreement with the Palestinians, and Palestinians were always saying no, 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 because the two-state solution would have been ending this whole thing, and it wouldn't have the Ummah wouldn't have any cause to use as a rallying cry to come up against the Jews. The whole global unity. The Ummah agrees upon nothing as much as anti-Jewish hatred. Even the concept of Tawheed, which they think is the one thing that they all agreed on. Actually, if you go look at their debate, they don't agree on Tawheed. I mean, the first Inquisition was about what the Tawheed means. The only thing that brings the Ummah closer together more than anything else is anti-Jewish hate. That's why they need the Palestinian cause. That's why Palestinian children are suffering, because their blood is being used, lack of peace, the continuation of celebration of martyrdom, and this cult of death is constantly being used for. They don't know. The Palestinian people don't know. Many of them don't know that their death is being used for a bigger project that has nothing to do with them.
So, long story short, if the regime in Iran collapses and the people take over, that's good for the entire Middle East. That's good for Israel. That's good for the entire world.
Right. Yes.
And so let's just go ahead and take a look at this letter for the Abraham Accords here. Now, Armin, you originally told me you had to be off around this time, so I don't know if that was flexible.
No, I didn't. No, I'm flexible.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You initially told. Yeah, I thought you said around. You gave me a range of time.
No, I said start. No, for starting.
Okay. Oh, okay. We're good. Yeah, we're good. All right, let's check this out. So there's a letter from the exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Sent this letter January 20th, 2025. So just a couple days ago. President Donald Trump, the White House. Dear Mr. President. So this is him sending a letter to the president about the Cyrus Accords, which would be kind of an expansion of the Abraham Accords. He says, Dear Mr. President, congratulations on your inauguration. During your first term, you stood boldly and courageously with the Iranian people against the illegitimate and criminal regime occupying Iran. Today, the team you have assembled gives Iranians renewed hope that those principles and policies will continue. AP, weren't we just talking about when you had that lady bishop, and she's basically attacking him? And I said, look, if you're dealing with Trump, you should be praising him at first, because that his personality type, that will make him more inclined to listen to you. This guy gets it. Gets it.
Yeah. The preacher man woman, she didn't really get it. She needs to take an example here.
Yep. Learn from Reza Pahlavi. He says, Mr. President, in this term, you have an even greater opportunity. So you were great last time, and now it's an even greater opportunity for you to be great. The chance to resolve a challenge that has eluded leaders for decades. The promise of peace and prosperity in the Middle East. The key to that legacy lies in Iran. Guys, this is rhetorically brilliant. This is masterful, right? It's like, hey, we remember you. We in Iran remember you as great for what you did the first time. But here you can be great even more. Not only that, you can do something that no other leader has ever done. Something that you will be remembered for forever. Having done the one thing that no one else could possibly do, bringing peace to the Middle East. This is how you get someone's attention, ladies and gentlemen. For nearly half a century, the Islamic Republic has been the primary obstacle to peace in the region. Its malevolent ideological agenda thrives on chaos, destruction, and war. Despite repeated efforts by Middle Eastern leaders to achieve stability, they have been consistently undermined by this regime's unrelenting campaign of terror. No American president has yet had the courage. You guys getting this? This is brilliant. Like no other leader has had the courage to put an end to this, but you can. Check this out. No American president has yet had the courage to put an end to this tyranny. You can. By the way, guys, this is called empowering the other person, and showing that your cause is just. These are two of the key elements of persuading someone to action. He says you can, not through war, but by maintaining maximum pressure on the regime and providing maximum support to the brave Iranian people. As far as not through war, that's sort of preempting an objection. What? You're calling me? I'm not going to go to war. No, I'm not saying go through war. I've got something easier for you to do. It says the Islamic Republic does not seek the peace and prosperity you envision. Now weaker than ever, it will attempt to preserve itself through deception, offering hollow promises and pursuing subterfuge in the guise of a new deal, as it has done for 45 years. But this regime cannot be trusted. It is not the regime, but we, the Iranian people, who are your true partners for peace. Mr. President, you have the opportunity to go beyond the groundbreaking Abraham Accords by helping to facilitate the Cyrus Accords, uniting Israel, Arab nations, and a free Iran. You can transform the Middle East and the world. My compatriots in Iran are courageously fighting for this change, and I stand ready to partner with you and our friends in the region to make it a reality. With your support and leadership on the global stage, we can alter the course of history, and you can secure a legacy as a true architect of peace. That is, guys, it's the exact opposite of the way we saw that bishop talk to Trump. This is how you get it. You show that your cause is just, you empower the other person, and then, especially with Trump, he wants to be remembered as the guy who did things that no one else could get done. And he's saying, hey, you could be the guy who gets something done that no one else has ever been able to get done. And he's right. He's actually right in all this. Like, this could be some world-changing stuff, and it's right here in front of us.
So, yeah, I hope a lot of Americans do like voice their opinions about this, right? So you're not like, you don't need to ask for war. You don't need to ask for sending troops. You're not asking for getting militarily involved. You're asking for one thing Trump likes to do, which is basically not your sanctions, tariffs, not trading. Just don't let Iran, the Iranian regime, not Iran, Iran's regime, sell its oil using shadow ships to China. Okay, because even with the sanctions, the Islamic Republic is still selling a lot of oil through China using, and Biden administration knew that, but they on purpose looked at the other way because they were afraid that if they don't let the regime sell its oil, that it will that the inflation would be higher than it is. So they allowed the Iranian regime to get away with it. So it's very important for we almost it's almost guaranteed that Trump will introduce maximum pressure on the Iranian regime. So there's not much that we need to do there because it seems like he's going to do it anywhere. The pressure that we need is that for him not to remove it for the sake of the deal, to just keep it. Because Trump might, again, I don't know what he's going to do, but he might want to eventually remove the maximum pressure for the sake of getting a deal, because Trump just loves deals. He loves deals. He loves to show that I put people on pressure and I got a deal out of it. And that is the thing that we want to avoid. We want him to just put the pressure on and just never remove it for as long as this regime is in power.
He's a businessman.
AP, are you trying to play a little keyboard there? Because we're having a serious discussion about Iran, and you're like, everyone, look at my look. I got a kid's keyboard that's made for like a 3-year-old. I'm just saying, I'm starting to understand why Central Dawa threatened you, because I'm feeling like doing the same thing right now too.
Good point.
All right, let's go through some super chats, guys. Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
Can after the super chat, can I show something on my screen after these super chats? Because there's 2 things that I covered on my channel that I want to tell people to go check out.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So we'll take a couple. And we'll take. Matter of fact, we'll just take a couple, and then and then you can share your screen. Armin is chewing f bombs because this is a Christian stream. That's right. Everyone knows this is a holy area.
I try.
Is there any resentment in Iran for Carter's betrayal? So what do the people think about Jimmy Carter?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? So this might be a bit too much, but when Carter just recently died, there was huge. Again, I know, David, you might not like this because you don't like when people celebrate someone's death. I know that. I remember that from you last time. But there were so many people in Iran that were saying that were celebrating that he died, but some maybe not, maybe more people that were just not celebrating his death, but more Iranians who were reminding that he was the person. Again, some people agree with this and some people are not, but say if Iranians remember Carter as a president that stopped supporting their main ally in the Middle East, which was Mohammad Reza Shah. Okay, and because of lies about human rights violations by Sawak in Iran, this man Carter thought that Mohammad Reza Shah was like a dictator, and then he basically stopped supporting him. And some people argue, again, there's a debate about this. Some people agree, some people disagree, that gave the green light to the mullahs to do their revolution because the United States was not there to support him anymore, which was such a huge betrayal to him, because it was the strongest. Like, right now we consider Saudi Arabia and Israel to be U.S. allies. Iran back then was a major U.S. ally, and it was such a huge betrayal by the United States to just go against him like that. So that's why a lot of Iranian people hate him.
Yeah, Carter is the example of a guy who's just a super nice guy, peanut farmer, and not a good leader, and someone who, such a nice guy that other people will take advantage of him and cause him to do massive damage because he will gullibly fall for it. Hey, we got 2 right here. So Isaac Chu says, Christian Iran 2025. No offense, Pahlavi, and then Christian Iran 2025. No offense, Armin. I have to say, as a Christian, Christians are a small minority in Iran, so no, you're not going to get some Christian-dominated society. But as a Christian, all you should be looking forward to is the basic rights for everybody. That's what you should want as a Christian. Rights for everybody in the area. Everyone is protected, and I think Christians should be absolutely thrilled at that idea.
Oh.
So you should learn from Jews and Cyrus the Great, okay? Because the Jews celebrated Cyrus, even though he was not a Jew. They revered him because he saved them, but they didn't want him to turn into a Jew. And Cyrus the Great just freed people, and he didn't care if they became Zoroastrian. He just wanted everybody to just be the way they are, right? And by the way, I'm not offended. I would just report you the fact that that's not happening. Iranian people are leaving Islam, but they are not becoming. I mean, you could find videos of many of them turning Christians, but stats show that most of them. Actually, I could say that it's not working in my favor as well. They're not. A lot of them are not turning. I mean, we have 20% atheists, which is huge for Iran. But most people who are leaving Islam, they are God-believing, non-religious people. So they're turning into non-religious but God-believing. So not even. I could, if I was biased, I would tell you that most of them are becoming atheists. They're not becoming atheists. They're just leaving religion. Most of them. Yeah.
And I would say as a Christian, even if, see, again, guys, you have, even with conversions and so on, you still have a small, very small percentage of the Iranian population who are Christian. You're not going to be dominating. But I have to say, even if you were dominating, your goal should be a society where people have basic human rights that honors their status
Yes.
as human beings. So it should be the same. Whether you make up 1% of the population or 80% of the population, you should have a similar idea in terms of what the government's going to do.
And also, even though our Christians are a small minority, I, as an Iranian, celebrate our Christian minority Iranians, right? Like, we have a very beautiful Christian community in Iran, and we love to have them, right? So they should be protected, and I hope that under a future secular regime, they could basically express their Christianity and even promote their Christianity under complete safety and security. That's what I want for everyone, including our Christians.
AP, that Quran L you have there,
Yeah.
I think you said in a text that that upset Central Dawa, but I mean, you know that's going to upset him. So why would you have shown that during a debate, knowing it will only lead to him storming off or something like that?
Well, it was actually very funny because I don't know how it came. I don't remember how it came up, but I think he brought up at some point in the debate. It just got more and more unhinged over time. But he brought up that I disrespected the Quran, and I said, "Why wouldn't I disrespect the Quran? Your religion literally says that I should be executed for leaving Islam." And he said,
Good point.
100% yes, and I agree with that 100%. He said, and I was like, "So you agree that I should be killed?" And he said, "Yes, 100%." Also, the Bible also says that. So I led him into the direction of going into. And the funny thing, this is actually very hilarious. I actually made him read Deuteronomy to tell us what exactly it says, and he read it and then still said, so it says that those who, apostates, those who leave, should be killed. Like, are you dumb, man? You just read it for all of us right
pretty
here.
dumb.
It doesn't say that.
So wait,
So
it
anyway.
just clicked. Yeah. So I was wondering, like, did you just randomly do that to cause a ruckus?
No.
Or were you provoked? And it sounds like so he brings up your disrespecting the Quran. You point out, wait a minute, Islam calls for me to be executed. Why should I respect it? And he says, yes, you should be executed. So after he is already clear that you disrespect the Quran in response to Islam saying you need to die, he then goes and says, you have to be killed. And so he kind of brought it on himself.
And then I put the Quran L up here, upon which he got really, really, really upset and said, "James, is this allowed? Are you going to allow your guests to have my holy scripture in the form of an L on the screen?" It was like, if he doesn't remove this, then I will leave. And I said, you literally just said that I should be killed. And then he reiterated that and made it even worse. He said, yes, I do agree. And yes, your blood is 100% halal, he said. I'm like, what? Can you say that again? He said, your blood is halal, which to those who don't know, it means it is permitted for Muslims to kill me.
Yeah, as if we didn't know that already, but he's blurting it out. So let me get this straight. You're like, hey, I'm saying I disrespect the Quran in response to calling for my death. And he's like, oh yeah, well then I call for your death. And so he's basically saying, please, will you please desecrate the Quran? Please, 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 please. Dude, I mean, seriously, he reminds me of Hijab when we're sitting there. Hey, Hijab, look, you want us to start desecrating the Quran? Go ahead and do this. Well, yeah, fine, I will show you. And then but everyone, that's what started this. Remember, you go back 10 years ago. We weren't like destroying Qurans and so on. That happened after Muhammad Hijab started going after people's wives and saying, yes, instead of going after these Islamophobes, we'll go after their wives and we'll stalk their wives on social media and threaten them with rape and torture and abuse. This will show everyone. And we're just like, okay, well, if you want to go that route, then we're not going to be nice with your book anymore because we don't like your book, and so we'll do this. And then, we can't believe you're doing. It's like, guys, every single time we escalate, it's because you guys are doing something that we warn you about. Stop what you're doing, or we're going to escalate. You're like, we won't stop. We'll kill you all. And then we escalate, and then they cry like babies. Oh, we're victims. Help! We're being oppressed.
So James eventually said, "Look, Central Dawa, I can't tell him what to do and what not to do. Technically, you also said some really, really disrespectful things about people who are not
Ah,
here, and
James is
about the
based.
Bible and about Paul and so on. So, like,
Mm.
I can't just apply these standards here. So AP can remove it if he wants to." And I said, "Well, I don't take very kindly to people saying I should be killed. So
Yeah.
it's just going to stay here." And then he said, "Okay,
Yeah.
then I'm going to show myself out,"
Yeah.
and he
You
left.
could have
He
said,
he
"Hey, no problem. I'll take down the L, and you say Islam is wrong for calling for my death." And that'd be good, right? So
Yeah.
this is funny because I mean, think about what he was actually saying. He was actually calling for Sharia compliance, right? I get to say whatever I want about him, but he has to be respectful towards me and my prophet and my book. And James said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And so that's actually a good rule. It's like whatever rules you guys want to follow, you agree to ahead of time. If you want me to not to respect your book, then here's what you have to do during the debate. Now, but if you don't have that, then those rules are not on the table.
That's what happens. That's what they
All
do.
right. So, seen the show Tehran about Mossad agents in Iran? I haven't. Are you familiar with that, Armin?
I'm familiar with it. It could have been made. It's interesting. It could have been made a little bit better, but
Isn't
it's
that
interesting. Like
with the
it's yeah.
hacker?
What's that? What's
No,
that?
no,
AP?
it's an Israeli. It's okay. So I'm very picky with my TV series. That's why I didn't enjoy it that much. But a lot of Iranians enjoy it. It's an Israeli TV series made about some spies in Iran, Mossad spies in Iran. So you might want to go
Oh,
watch it.
I saw
Actually,
that.
a lot of Iranians love it because they think like it gets a lot of points right. But some Iranians think like, oh no, it's getting a lot of points wrong. But it's a famous TV series. A lot of Iranians watch it. It's made by Israel.
I saw parts of it. Yeah.
Interesting. As far as agent, I don't know if I told you last time, Armin. I told AP a couple times, but when I was in college, I was taking a class on the Middle East, and it was taught by a congressman, Congressman Whitehurst, who was on the House Armed Services Committee. So he would be in all these places, but he was talking about all this cool spy stuff, and he said the quickest thinking spy we ever had. This is just the quickest thinking I ever saw. He says he went to Iran as a spy, but he said you couldn't send a spy from the United States because they would catch you. So he said you would send your spies from a European country. So the CIA made the guy a fake German passport. Gave him a fake German passport. Then he flies into Iran from Germany. So he flies into Iran from Germany. The guy spoke perfect German, no accent or anything. He gets to Iran, does whatever he's there for. He's there for a little while. Then he's leaving, and they had a very smart agent there. So when he hands his passport, the guy looks at it, and in Germany they spell out your entire name. They don't give a middle initial. They spell out your full name. And on their fake CIA passport, they didn't pick up on that little detail, and they gave him a middle initial. They put his middle initial there. And so anyway, he gets caught by an agent, and the guy looks at it and he goes, "Germans do not put initials on their passports. This is a fake passport. Who are you and why are you here?" And this guy's like, "Oh man," right? But he said it was quick thinking because the guy looked at the passport. He didn't know any of this. But he looks at the passport and just instantly goes, look at when I was born. I was born during World War II. My middle name, look at my middle initial, it's H. You see, my parents gave me the middle name Hitler, and I had to petition the German government to just put my initial there because it's so shameful. It's so shameful to have that as my middle name. So I petitioned the government. They made an exception in my case to just put my middle initial there. And he said that, and the guy went, "Oh, okay, thanks. I didn't know that was a thing." And he gave him his passport back, and he went on out of there and stuff. So anyway, that guy was quick thinking saved that dude from some messed up stuff.
Well, that's interesting. One answer I want to give. One reason why I don't watch, spy movies is because reality is becoming so much like spy movies that I don't need to do that. Because I mean, look at what Israel is doing. Look how Ismail. Look at how Fakhrizadeh, the atomic scientist in Iran, was killed. With just go look at the details. This is stranger than fiction. Go look at how Ismail Haniyeh was killed. Look at the pager operations. that we got with Hezbollah.
You couldn't have made a movie about that. It would have seemed too absurd. Like, come on, no one could ever pull that off. That's too insane. That wouldn't even have worked as a movie because that would never work, man. It would have been unbelievable.
Right.
And they pulled it off.
Yeah. So why do I need spy movies? I'm just following the news.
Yeah, they should just Mossad should just be vlogging their own stuff. That would be the hit series, just vlogging their own stuff that they're doing. Mumu Joe says, dumb question. Are they Muslims? His father named Muhammad. If yes, does Muslims that read the Quran can be so liberal and not anti-Jew? So it's basically asking about the religious attitudes of the Pahlavi.
So they are
family.
what I call non-practicing nominal Muslims. That's what I would call them. So yes, they are Muslims, but nominal Muslims by name. They don't live like Muslims. They don't do Islamic things. They don't practice Islam. But if you ask them if they're Muslim, they will say they're Muslim. But even practicing Muslims can be liberal. Islam can never be liberal, but Muslims can be liberal by not following Islam. Many Muslims follow certain parts of Islam and not the rest. I mean, look at Israel itself. We have many Muslim citizens of Israel who are proud Zionist Israeli citizens. So just because somebody is a Muslim doesn't mean that they can't be liberal. I mean, I disagree. If I ask a Muslim liberal, is there a contradiction between Islam and their liberalism? They would say no, and they would be wrong. There is a contradiction. So, but just because they're wrong, that doesn't mean that they're not liberal. Do you guys agree with me? Like, we have Muslims who are liberal who wrongly think there's no contradiction. But even though Islam and liberalism will always contradict, that doesn't mean Muslims can't be liberal. We have liberal Muslims. We have secular Muslims.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I've known plenty of just nice, peaceful Muslims who just want to live normal lives and so on. And you do have the people who would say, no, they're just pretending to be peaceful. Well, no, because because some of them later left Islam, and some of them became Christians, and they weren't like, oh yeah, I was planning to kill you the entire time. They're not. So they would have told me. They would have told me that stuff. Right. Noam here says, how about we revive the name Koresh instead of Cyrus? We ain't Greek, bro. Yeah, but the Greeks did conquer the Persians, and therefore we have to go with the Greek pronunciation of all Persian terms.
I mean, Jews call it the same thing. Jews say Kurosh, Iranians say Kurosh, and Cyrus is not just Greek anymore; it's English. So we're speaking English when you say Cyrus.
Mm-hmm. This is in response to me saying, when you were taking care of your dog, I said, always take care of the dog. And now we have Muhammad. I always take care of the dog. Dihya, if you know what I mean. Not sure you followed that discussion, Armin, but Muhammad had a companion, Dihya al-Kalbi, which means Dihya the dog. And there are all these interesting stories about these little private meetings between Muhammad and Dihya behind the curtain. And when people would be like, hey, what are you doing back behind that curtain with Dihya? Muhammad would say, no, that's the angel Gabriel. He just looks exactly like Dihya al-Kalbi. And so anyway, people are wondering what was really going on. What is that horrible noise? Got to turn down AP's mic because there's horrible noise coming out of it. Pretty much the worst sound I've ever heard in my life. Let's see. I will go before you, Cyrus. Oh, this quotation from Isaiah 45. I will go before you, Cyrus, and level the mountains. And why have I called you for this work? It is for the sake of Jacob, my servant. Yes, so you have Jacob, my servant there. Cyrus is also called a servant of God in Isaiah for freeing the Jewish people. Thanks for the infos, Armin. It's a new insight. Yes, Armin's got the good stuff when it comes to Iran. That was an amazing learning session. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it would be. A Jewish state in the middle of their conquered land is a shame and embarrassment to the whole ummah. It also makes Allah and Muhammad liars with failed promises. They do not like Israel. That is true. How does Here you go. How does Saudi and Qatar factor in the equation? Would they tolerate a Cyrus Accord? In other words, when it says an alliance or an agreement between Iran, Israel, and Arab nations, do you think Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
and Qatar would be on board with that?
Well, I mean, Qatar, I could tell you, Qatar is a more of a mixed bag, but
Hmm.
Saudi Arabia is very much the main threat to Saudi Arabia is the Islamic Republic of Iran. So if there is no Islamic Republic of Iran, I mean, Saudi Arabia has so many worries right now. They're trying to diversify out of oil, and it's not happening as fast as they want. Many predictions say that the price of oil and gas is about to drop like a rock with solar energy and other alternative sources of energy. And Saudi Arabia Vision 2030 is not happening as fast as it should, and Saudi Arabia is not ready for that, right? And Saudi Arabia
What is wrong
for
with you,
this
man? AP has
for
AP shows up and let me destroy. What the heck is wrong with him? Okay, okay. I'm not accepting him when he calls back until you finish. Go ahead.
okay, Saudi Arabia needs a lot of investment, tourism, and business activity to be able to even get remotely close to the diversification that they need away from oil. And for you to attract all of those investments, you need stability in the region. A lot of people do not, like investors, do not see the stability needed for the amount of funds that Saudi Arabia needs to be able to go there. And the stability is not there because of the Islamic Republic. So I would assume that if there is such a thing, the problem is that many of these countries don't know that if the Islamic Republic get, topples, will that actually lead to stability or would that cause civil war? So that's why Reza Pahlavi is very important, because the reason why a lot of countries are not uh, feel very secure with the toppling of the regime is because they think what will fill that power vacuum. Are we going to have 20 years of civil war? Are we going to have something worse? So Reza Pahlavi is our best hope to represent something that will fill that power vacuum, a person that is not going to want war with anybody. Reza Pahlavi wants peace and stability, not just with Israel, but with every other country. It wants Iran to be a country that does not mess with everyone else, that wants peace and stability with someone else. So if we could convince everyone, Israel, United States, Europe, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, that Reza Pahlavi is that alternative, if that fills that vacuum, it will be best for everybody, because a stable Middle East, and a Middle East without the Islamic Republic, that is that without with the stability that this a secular regime will bring for Iran, is just good for business for everyone there. Like that would bring about a new era of prosperity for everyone in the Middle East. So a lot of people don't know this, guys. Right now, the economy of Iran, based on economic analysis, if the Islamic Revolution of 1979 did not happen, Iran's GDP would have been as high as Germany today, the largest economy in Europe. People call Iran the the greatest missed opportunity in the history of the world. The lost opportunity, the way that the economy was uh, growing, the Islamic Republic of 1979 just stopped all of that. You have no idea the utopia that the Middle East, not just Iran, the entire Middle East would have looked like with all of that oil if the Islamic Revolution did not have happened. The stability and the prosperity and the trade, the Middle East would have been like Europe right now if that revolution did not happen. Everything got effed. And by the way, it's not just thanks to the Islamists. It's thanks to the Islamists and the leftists who supported them. There's a lot of people who don't understand the 1979 Islamic Revolution was not an Islamic revolution. It was a leftist Islamic revolution. It was the commies and the Islamists uniting together to bring the Pahlavi down. to bring out the Western imperialist puppets now. And
Hang
this
on,
basically ruined the entire
hang on, Armin. So are you saying that we always in the West, we sit here and wonder, why are leftists aligned with Muslims? Don't they know that Muslims would use them when it's convenient and then just eat them alive after they win? You're saying that's exactly what happened in Iran. The Muslims said, hey, leftists, let's work together in taking over Iran. And then as soon as they had power, it's thanks for the help. Better luck next time.
No, not thanks for the help. Better luck next time. They started mass executing the leftists.
Mass executing them.
Yes, thousands of them. The leftists that helped the Islamists to come into power, they were the first on the death rows once the Islamists came in power.
Interesting. It's kind of like what we always say. Like you'll have like the LGBTQ community saying, "Hey, we support Muslims," and we kind of say, "Don't you know what would happen to you if you would be first in line if they actually win and take over? You guys are first on the chopping block. You guys first."
I wrote an article about this, and I explained this in a way that has never been explained before. Go read it. It was published on Queer Majority, and the article is named. I need it's actually a liberal magazine, unlike what the name suggests, right? So it's an anti-woke, pro-LGBT anti-woke publication. So it's called Queer Majority. But I published an article basically warning the LGBT community and other leftists about this, and you should go for them to learn from history. The article is called "By Any Means Necessary: Iran, Hamas, and the Left." So if you search for my name, Armin Navabi, and then this title, "By Any Means Necessary: Iran, Hamas, and the Left," that article will show up. Go read that article, because this unity between the leftists, because what you're seeing in the left, a lot of people in the Western world were surprised after 9/11. Why are leftists and Islamists uniting with each other? They don't seem to be much alike. But a lot of people don't know that we actually lost the country 40 years before this. Like, this is a new experience. It was a new experience for Westerners. But we Iranians, when we were watching this, we were like, oh yeah, we know exactly what's happening here. We lost an entire country to the leftist Islamist unity, and now we're working for more than 40 years trying to get it back. So go read that article and share that article, because I explain the history of it, and I go through a lot of evidence and detail making that case.
Very big.
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to go live on my channel right now. So
what, right now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up these super chats. What are we talking? Over on your channel.
I have two things to show. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll burn through these last couple super chats, and then we'll switch over to AP. Are we talking about your debate?
But I can also move it to in half an hour, honestly.
We'll just go quick. Yeah, just move it forward a little bit. We'll go through these real quick, and Armin has a couple last points here. Let's see. Okay, what do you think of the Emirates' offer to govern Gaza? Fits with Mordecai Kedar's concept of splitting the Palestinians into clan-based Emirates. I do like the idea of having someone other. Definitely want someone other than Israel running that place, because everything that happens would get flipped back on them. So yeah, I haven't looked into that, so I wouldn't know.
How would that look like without any ground support from the Gazans to do such a thing? Like, this is going to be so difficult, because Gazans hate huge problem. Yeah, Gazans hate these people. Gazans hates the Saudis. They hate the Emiratis. They consider these countries, the rulers of these countries, to be with the Zionists. They say that. So traitors. They see the Emiratis as the Zionists themselves. So they're like, oh, so we're being ruled by Zionists. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work. But yeah, we'll see, I guess.
So some of these I'm just going to put on the screen because we have to go through them pretty quickly, because we're jumping over on AP's channel here in a second. Hi, AP. We saw Comedy Central. Oh, they're calling Central Dawa Comedy Central. I called him Shirks. I called him Shirk Central in my debate with him. Huh?
I called him Comedy Central.
That's
Comedy
funny.
Central Dawa in my opening.
No, he's got two nicknames, Shirk Central and Comedy Central. So we saw Comedy Central rage quit on you. and Muslims saying Central handled it well. This is really the beginning of the end of Dawa. This is, guys, we were already down to one guy who was willing to debate. None of the main Dawa guys are willing to debate something like Muhammad, Muhammad in the Bible, any of that stuff. They won't touch it. And so you had one guy willing to step up, and now he went scrambling and running. If you had Douglas Murray, Lloyd DeJong, and Nuria Khan on tonight's show, you would have the 6 best Dawa defeaters on the planet in one place. Yeah, I don't think Douglas Murray would join us. His accent is too fancy, but yeah, we should get Nuria on here. Hey, AP, do you think Israel unalived JFK?
Israel. That's a mockery of Candace.
Candace, is that what she says?
Yeah, Israel.
Yeah.
And when we all know Israel was behind the assassination. Yeah, it's so stupid. Today, they announced, I don't know if you've seen it, but they announced, or Donald Trump actually signed executive order to declassify the document, the files on
JFK, RFK, and one other.
And Candace Owens immediately, as soon as the news got out, made a post and said, if they'll tell us that Russia and Iran are behind this woman is just so beyond insane.
Yeah. I responded to that and I said, but if they say Jews were behind it with space lasers and they were trying to get the Christians to drink their Christian blood and put it in their Passover bread, then we know it's true. And
the funny thing is that she pretended to support Trump through all of this, and what she's implying there with her post is that Donald Trump would be lying to them to protect the Jews.
Yeah,
because it will be Donald Trump and his appointed, national intelligence and attorney general guys together, looking at it and then making a plan for the complete release of the files. So if somebody tries to shift the narrative, it would involve Donald Trump. So she's basically saying that Donald Trump will lie to us to protect the Jews and Israel. She's just so insane.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how she's going to make it because she's basically going to be down to groypers, and I have seen lots of Muslim channels rallying around her and so on. So that's not going to work out very well. Literally nothing Central Dawa said was correct, and he waffles and then called you out for saying AP's blood is halal, saying that's what Deuteronomy 13 says. Central Dawa is a liar. Really? You think the Dawa guys are liars? It's kind of a requirement for being a Dawa guy nowadays. But Germany is failing. So like other Western states, as far as the economy in Germany, no, Germany has like either the 3rd or 4th best economy in the world. As far as just GDP, it's United States and China, and then Japan. Last time I saw it was a couple years ago, but Japan and Germany were neck and neck. So Armin was saying that Iran would have been ranked around number 3 globally. It would have been United States, China, and then Iran, Germany, and Japan, all in the same sort of ballpark. So that'd be pretty crazy. That's what getting a terrorist regime running your stuff does. And we have James when someone's life gets threatened. James when someone makes Quran origami. No. So is that? I'll have to see that. We'll be talking about all that on AP's channel. How you all doing, family? We're good. We're good. Oh, Issa Kabir. Hey, Issa. Issa's one of the good ones. AP looks uncomfortable. Why don't you get on your teeth? Yeah, that's what we get from Muhammad Hijab. All right, we've gone through the super chat. So, yeah, Armin, what were those final points you were talking about?
Come here.
Oh, yes. Hold on, this girl wants to go. Say bye-bye.
And what's that dog's name?
Nala.
Nala,
because she looks like a lion, so she's named after the girl in Lion King.
Okay. She does look like a lion a little bit.
Yeah. So, let me actually. Can you share my screen? Oh, who's that? Wait, do you want to go out?
I can't have somebody else steal the show, man.
I would go get my dog put on camera, but it's too horrifying. My wife got my least favorite dog, which is a poodle.
They're all good. They're all good. What's his name? His name?
This one, Blaze.
Blaze.
You named your dog after one of my kids?
Yes.
How come no one's naming their dog Momo? I don't know.
Guys, Nala. People are saying the dog named Allah, not Allah. Nala, Nala,
Nala, Nala.
no, no.
All right, you want me to share your screen?
Oh yes, please, please.
All right, here we go.
Sorry.
All right.
All right, so guys, I did the two streams. Like some of the stuff that we talked about that I didn't go over today. I did a stream 3 days ago regarding the two Supreme Court judges that were assassinated, and a whole bunch of other things on the Atheist Republic YouTube channel. So go check that out. And one thing that there's a lot of misinformation that are being shared right now regarding Hamas has. A lot of people are claiming that Hamas has won because of the ceasefire agreed. And I did a stream just 7 hours ago going over what I basically shared a lot of information showing to everybody. I showed a lot of clips and information from Gaza that you're not going to see in other places, showing you how stupid of an argument that is. That's all nonsensical. So a lot of people in the chat were saying that I asked them if they saw these videos that I'm sharing anywhere else, and they said no. So go check that out. I think these two last streams, there's a lot of inside information that you're not going to get on any other English speaking stream regarding the things that are happening in Israel and also things that are happening in Iran. So go check that out. It's on Atheist Republic. If you go to Atheist Republic, it's on the live section. So go check these two out. These are quite important. And then I wanted to share, this was the article that I talked about that I wrote that you guys could go check out. So that's it. And I just also want to mention to David, you said that you mostly focus on Islam from a Sunni perspective. I have a lot of videos from Shia imams that are hilarious, that are a really good way for you to be, that they're in Persian, so I can translate them for you. But if you ever want to do a show introducing people to the most ridiculous nonsense from Shia Islam that is unique to Shia Islam that you're not going to find it in Sunni Islam, I have a treasure trove of funny videos from imams just saying the wildest things, and I think it would be fun if you want to see that.
Oh,
and it's a good way to get introduced to Shia beliefs. Oh,
is it just me, or has AP been trying to distract everyone from serious discussion this entire time?
no, you can distract us anytime you want.
I'm starting to think that maybe AP is an agent for the Iranian regime.
Hey, you remember who this is? Do you remember this? Who this is?
Yeah.
Who's that? Who's that? You know his name? Who's that?
You mean him
Yes, him.
with that pink shirt?
Yes. What's his name?
David.
David? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
David. That's right. That's right.
Hi.
Good job. Good job.
Hello.
This is Armin.
Hey, Armin, you recommended two videos and that article. If you want to send me those links, I'll actually put them in the description so people can just click on them there. So if you want to,
okay.
you don't have to do this right this second, but if you want to do it afterwards or something like that, I can add them later. So, guys, if you're watching this later, those links will be in the description box. All right, let's take these last couple super chats that just came in. And,
Would you be interested in a stream on going over nonsensical Shia beliefs because I think most of your audience know Sunni beliefs. If you're like, would you be interested in a show like that?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Here we have will my love Armin discuss? You have a lot of people who love you here in the chat. Will my love Armin discuss why liberalism defeats Judeo-Christian values, increasing prosperity? David claims these values are out of Abrahamic values.
Which values specifically we're talking about? What depends on what you mean by liberal values. Liberal values are basically values that respects people's liberty within a certain, but with limitations within a certain framework. So liberalism is a political order that tries to take the most advantage of the spontaneous order derived from a society that has certain amount of liberties, but also has the right amount of limitations to protect the framework. For example, like nationalism. A lot of people don't know that nationalism is one of the most important principles of liberalism. It was like invented by liberalism, right? So that's what liberalism is, and you could be a liberal and be a Christian at the same time. So I don't understand what the conflict here is. I consider David to be a liberal.
I think they wanted you to go ahead and blast religion right there, and you were like being careful. But hey,
Oh,
we could have a discussion.
no,
We could have a discussion about that at some point.
I am
Um,
I am okay. So I'm against religion for a more fundamental reasons, because I just don't see any evidence for any religious claims, right? But whether I'm right about that or incorrect, wrong about that, within the liberal framework, every we all could just live peacefully next to each other and disagree with each other. In fact, liberalism is the best place for us to uh, debate each other about these topics. Uh, and basically, we here's the thing: we are the priority is for right now for us is for the people who are coming for all this framework. Whether I'm right or David is right regarding the existence of God, we wouldn't even be able to have a framework for us to have that discussion if that framework is being challenged. And that's why I consider us on the same team, because there are people that are coming for the destruction of this entire framework. So these other discussions are fun but secondary. We wouldn't even be here to be able to have these civil discussions about who's right about the existence of God if we don't have countries and this world order for us to be able to live in. And that's the threat. That it's basically like people discussing over who's going to sit on the throne while there's a dead army coming out for the whole land. Like the dead army is priority right now, and that's basically, to me, that's Islam right now.
and what breed is that dog? AP? AP's gone, which is good because no one should care what breed that ugly dog was. Some that
That was
seemed like
horrible.
that seemed like some sort of weird one of those poodle hybrids where they breed a poodle with some other dumb dog, and then do it D Wood. Shiites are even so. This is as far as recommending a show on with the Shias. Says do it D Wood. This is from Mosh Cohen. He says do it D Wood. Shiites are even funnier. Armin for the win.
It's
That's cool.
It's true. Like David, I will challenge you. I will bring ridiculous beliefs from Shias, and I will convince you. I know you spent so much time finding nonsensical Sunni beliefs, but I will prove to you that Shia Islam is more ridiculous than Sunni Islam.
Hey, we should
I
title
will.
it something like "Try Not to Laugh." Try not to laugh as we go through
or,
clips of,
or
of
laugh or puke, depending on which one we're covering.
ouch. And shout out to Mosh Cohen for the channel memberships. All right, everyone. As Armin was pointing out, he has videos on his channel that are full of information that people are just not familiar with, and that's what I find out every time I'm on with Armin. He has lots of information that is new information for everyone. So yeah, definitely check out those videos and that article he shared. Thanks, Armin, for joining us and for it's basically exactly what I wanted you on for. It was mainly I want to know more about this entire situation and about Reza Pahlavi. In case should I be supporting him? Should I be supporting someone else or just the people or something like that? So gave me an answer to that. But also as we pointed out, it was something like 56% of people earlier who had no idea who he was. So very, very, very good discussion. What was that?
Let us know, guys, in the comments if you found this educational, if you think like you learned this helpful or not. Because I'll read the comments after the stream is over. So after the stream is over, leave your comments.
Yeah, guys. So leave any comments in the comment section, and Armin will be checking those out. All right, everyone. We will be on AP's channel here in a couple minutes to discuss the horrible, unprovoked death threats against him from Central Dawa. We'll be checking that out.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that. We're gonna cover what happened. Like once we figure out what happened to you, AP, we're gonna be covering that on Atheist Republic as well, because
Awesome.
this is newsworthy. Yeah, we're gonna
Awesome.
be
Awesome.
treating it. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
And
I need to have you back again as well for something. That'll be fun.
well, let me know.
yeah, and
Anytime.
everyone,
Anytime.
everyone, as we're closing out, let's just all make sure everyone watching. Let's all thank Central Dawa for helping us yet again expose the truth about Islam in a world that just doesn't want to believe that's what Islam teaches. They shout it from the rooftops and make sure everyone knows. And so thanks. Hats off to Central Dawah for proving us right. Once again, all three of us on this screen, ladies and gentlemen, are under a death sentence from that religion. And it's actually good to hear the people who actually believe in this death sentence actually admitting it for the sake of others who don't think that's what Islam teaches. So once again, hats off to Central Dawah. We love you, Central Dawah. Keep exposing your religion for us and helping us. And final comment here, Key. Armin, fellow Persian here, David Wood and AP get a kick out of Khamenei's Resala and its comedic scenarios.
No.
We will get a kick out of it. Okay.
Yes. I have videos of that. I have videos of that as well. People reviewing it. It's insane. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you all in a couple minutes over on AP's channel. Catch you next time.